Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to video 1998. That's 1198. That's right after this video. I'm only one more video away from video 2000, which is very exciting. But I want to, I got two more videos I got to do first. This is being recorded on August 1st, 2019. And last I checked, it was 3:46, but it's probably like, 3:47 because, it takes a little bit to get to my camera and stuff. And I was doing other things in between. So there's that. But yeah, this is going to be a very special video. I'm going to be doing a WWE All Talk video, reviewing episodes of NXT UK and NXT from June 19th, 2019, all the way to July 17th, 2019. The reason why I'm doing this is because I've missed so much NXT and NXT UK. If I did them all singularly, then it really I would miss out on doing the video 2000 special, and this is just a nice easy video to do. And I figured I missed so many, why not just crunch them all together into a big video. The reason why I'm not just doing all the episodes is because there's an episode of 205 Live that ties into NXT and NXT UK. So I want to kind of make sure I don't get spoiled with that 205 Live episode. So I'm going from this time frame. I'm going to be recording these videos throughout the next few days because, I have some free time tomorrow to sit down and watch some and review some, and I have some free time, Saturday and such. So that should be exciting. So yeah, I don't exactly know how you're going to see these videos produced. Some of them might just be via my cell phone. Some of them will be via my laptop. So that's going to be exciting. But let's start off, with NXT UK for, June 19th, 2019. But I'm going to review the episodes as chronologically as possible. So let's get right into the video now. Okay, so now today's August 2nd, 2019. It's 11:22 right now, even though it's been a minute since, I pressed record on the video because I had to do a couple retakes and such, but whatever. But yeah, I'm here to give you guys my review of NXT UK for June 19th, 2019. This was episode 48, and this is the first episode, in the set of tapings of the Download Festival. I was pretty excited they went to the Download Festival because that's where, the first round of the 2018 United Kingdom Championship number one contenders tournament took place. So I was actually pretty damn excited about that. And, it's a different venue for them to be in. It's more, of not really like an arena, but kind of an outside place. So I was pretty damn excited about it. So yeah, let's get right into the actual review. Before the show even starts, they had earlier in the day released a YouTube video of a WWE.com exclusive of the assistant of NXT UK, Sid Scala, announcing that they're going to have the first ever NXT UK Women's Battle Royal, which, he had announced it before, but I don't know if he filmed this, prior to the announcement on, the previous week's episode of NXT UK, but whatever. But then it started off with the actual show itself. I had to take my notes this way since I'm filming this on my phone. I had to do a bunch of small pieces of paper. Before the show starts, it shows a recap of the previous episode's main event of, Imperium versus British Strong Style when Alexander Wolf returned and, cost British Strong Style the match. I just mentioned that just because I thought it was still really cool. Then we had the commentary team. It was Vic Joseph and Aiden English, actually. It wasn't Nigel McGuinness. I don't know where he was. They tried to give a storyline reason saying that, going to download festivals really isn't his thing. But I don't know what the real reason was that he wasn't there. But he wasn't there. But I really, enjoy Aiden English on commentary. So I was absolutely fine with him being there. So I really liked it. And then we had the first match on the show. It was Kenny Williams versus Cassius Ohno. I thought this match was good. Not one of the best matches you're ever going to see, but I thought it was good. I thought, the story was kind of nice. And, I really enjoy Cassius Ohno's new gimmick that he has in NXT UK. So there's that. The first half of the match is, Cassius Ohno trying to work over the arm of Kenny Williams. He's really wrestling him down to the mat because, you know, he's the best, you know, pure British wrestler. He even has it on a t-shirt now, which I think is pretty cool. And Kenny Williams tries to use his speed. He tries to use his quickness to try to, you know, counteract Cassius Ohno. And he goes for, like, you know, a rebound lariat. But Cassius Ohno counters it. He hits, you know, a big foot right to the head. And he just stomps a mud hole right into Kenny Williams. And he dominates Kenny Williams for a while. He hits a wicked clothesline on him. He hits some wicked stiff right hands. And the crowd was very good here. They were chanting, you know, one more hit. And instead, you know, Cassius Ohno did like a chin lock, which I thought was, you know, a nice way for him to get heat. And then Cassius Ohno hits I believe it's called the Kamikaze Crash, which is that, you know, rolling senton, but he calls it the Kamikaze Crash because it was, you know, thought of by a different wrestler, by a different British wrestler. So I really like that he said that. But he doesn't get the win. He hits a, you know, wicked senton. He goes for a senton, but Kenny Williams gets his knees up. And I liked how it hurt Kenny Williams too, because Cassius Ohno, you know, is bigger than him. So obviously it's really not going to benefit Kenny Williams as much as you would think it would. But Kenny Williams tries to use this to try to get some momentum behind him. He tries to catch some, you know, quick roll-ups right onto Cassius Ohno. He finally hits the rebound. Instead of hitting a clothesline, he hits a penalty kick. But doesn't get the win. He hits a wicked drop kick through the ropes, a suicide dive. He puts him in the win, hits a rolling elbow from the, you know, top turnbuckle, but doesn't get the win that way. And then eventually Cassius Ohno hits the rolling discus elbow onto Kenny Williams while he's in the ropes for the win. And I like how he just puts him in the win and covers him. It was just something simple. And Cassius Ohno wins, which makes more sense because he's the one that's getting the bigger push right now. They're really not doing a whole lot with Kenny Williams. They're going to start doing stuff with them, but Cassius Ohno, I think, you know, has more momentum right now, so I think it makes sense for him to get the victory here, so I thought that made sense. Then Imperium comes out to get a promo. I really like how they get heat. You know, that everybody just chants, "We want wrestling." And it's not because, you know, they have the advert thing. They just really wanted wrestling. They chant, you know, Pete Dunne. They chant Sanity at Alexander Wolf when he goes to talk, referencing his old group that he was in. And I really like how they come, like, you know, video in Titantron, where they're out there and it has like their names right underneath the name of the group, and they stand underneath their individual names. I think that's pretty cool. Marcel Bartel talks first, and he says that, you know, that they're not here to entertain everybody. They're here to, you know, bring prestige back to the sport of professional wrestling, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Then Fabian Eichner talks, and he says that that their numbers are growing, and that, you know, Imperium's finally in its full form. Then Alexander Wolf says that, you know, when he saw the opportunity to join Imperium, he had to take it up on the opportunity, and he said that they're going to destroy anyone that doesn't respect the sport of professional wrestling. And they say that, you know, he also says that this isn't a playground, this is, you know, serious business or something like that. Then Walter talks, and he says, speaking of playground, he brings up Travis Banks. He talks about how he's gotten rid of Pete Dunne out of NXT UK, which, like I said, I'm filming this before I know anything that happened, and I don't really think, you know, that, you know, Pete Dunne's gone. I think, you know, he's just going to be off for a few weeks, and then he'll come back, and they're going to do the Pete Dunne-Walter 3 match in an NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff, but that's just me. And he says that, you know, he talks about how, you know, him and Travis Banks have a NXT UK Championship match coming up on the next episode, and he says that he's just going to dispatch of Travis Banks, and then Travis Banks comes out, and he says that he's worked for years to get this opportunity, and he says that, you know, Walter shouldn't take him lightly, and he says that, you know, yeah, he says Walter shouldn't take him lightly, and he said that he better put his best on the next episode. So I like this. It was a nice way to build up to the, you know, WWE United Kingdom Championship match between not Pete Dunne, Travis Banks and Walter. It's weird because, you know, it's a UK title match that doesn't have Pete Dunne in it, so I'm just so used to saying that. So I liked it. I thought it was good. And I actually like, you know, Imperium as a faction and everything, and I think it's going to be awesome. And then Noam Dar gets interviewed, and he's on this phone with his mom, and he talks about his recent behavior, and he says that everyone shouldn't be trashing him because he went out for like a year due to an injury, and then he went out for another few months with an injury, and he says that he's not. He said that he's only taking these risks because he could get injured again, so he wants to be as successful as possible. And then he spots Kenny Williams, and he was wearing a poncho, and he says that, Kenny Williams had the best of luck out there, so maybe he uses like his hand as like a win. He says, see this win, maybe I need to take you under my win. And then Kenny Williams says, that, if he, that he'll break his arm pretty much, and Noam Dar says that maybe you need to go under my win because, maybe instead of, getting lucky, you actually being known as the lucky, and you actually get some wins. So I like this. It's a nice way to kind of tease a feud between Kenny Williams and Noam Dar because that makes sense. So I like it. Then we had the Hunt versus Wolfgang and Mark Coffey. I thought this match was good. The Hunt, Wolfgang and Mark Coffey just immediately get into a brawl, which I thought was really cool, and they just beat the crap out of each other with the Hunt getting the advantage. And, the Hunt hit double suicide dives on the outside. They brawl for a long-ass time with, Wolfgang and Mark Coffey. They dominate him for a while. But then eventually, the heels get the heat onto, Primate. No, not Primate. Wild Boar. And they dominate Wild Boar. Wolfgang hits a senton, and earlier in the match, Wild Boar hit a senton right across the back of, Mark Coffey, then in the ribs, so I thought this was nice revenge for that. And they dominate Wild Boar for a while, but then eventually Wild Boar gets the hot tag on Primate. He starts going off onto Wolfgang, but eventually he goes to charge him, through the ropes, but Wolfgang reverses it, and then Mark Coffey charges Wild Boar into the steps, and then he takes a blind tag, and they hit the suplex kick combination. No, the power slam kick enziguri combination for the win. And, Wolfgang and Mark Coffey win, which I thought made sense. But I think this feud has a ways to go. So I'm actually okay with them winning the first match. And then afterwards, Joe Coffey comes out and Gallus celebrates. And then they beat down, the Hunt. And Joe Coffey hits the Awa best for the Bills on Wild Boar, and they just continuously beat down the Hunt until Dave Mastiff comes out and, chases away Gallus. And I like this because this is a way to further the feud between Dave Mastiff and Joe Coffey, because who doesn't want to see that match? I do, so you guys should as well. So I liked it. Then we had, the next segment was an interview by Mustache Mountain. And they find out finally that they have, in 2 episodes, so not the next one, but the one after that. So it's going to be in episode 50. They're going to have an NXT UK Tag Team Championship match. And they're really excited about it. They said they've waited, until since January to have this match. And they talk about how they have a lot on their plate. But that's what makes them successful. And, we're going to use this momentum and that fact that we have everything on our plate to win the NXT UK Tag Team titles. I really like this. I'm kind of think it's weird, though, they're not going to do this at NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff, but maybe they have a bigger plan. Maybe they're going to win the titles, and then they're going to defend them against, Fabian Eichner and Marcel Bartel. Maybe, Fabian Eichner and Marcel Bartel will cost them the match, and they'll do a triple threat tag team match at NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff. Not really sure what's happening here, but I think, it's going to be really strong stuff. So I don't think Mustache Mountain are going to win the titles. I think they're going to save that moment, for a bigger show. So I don't, but I'm absolutely fine with, seeing that Grizzled Young Veterans versus Mustache Mountain again, because they had a really awesome match, at NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool, so why not have it again? So I'm all for that. Then we had the Women's Battle Royal, where the winner receives a future opportunity at the NXT UK Women's Championship. The competitors in the Battle Royal were Xia Brookside, Ginny, Jazzy Gabbert, Kaylee Ray, Nina Samuels, Isla Dawn, Candy Floss, Piper Niven, Rhea Ripley, Rio Kanji, I think was her name, and another one. There was an unnamed person in the match, but they basically had an all-women's tryout at the Performance Center. So I'm assuming these two women did the best, and so they, got the call to go in the Battle Royal. So those were the two women, and we also had Killer Kelly. And I enjoyed, the Battle Royal. I actually thought it was, pretty good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Everybody just starts fighting, and you just see, Jazzy Gabba just kind of standing there, and then everyone tries to go after Jazzy Gabba. Rio Kanji, the unnamed person in Candy Floss. And, Jazzy Gabba just quickly disposes of him. She, hits a back elbow onto Rio Kanji and eliminates her. And then, she hits like a Dominator onto Candy Floss, which I looked pretty scary, and eliminates her. And then she hits some type of, wrestling move onto the unnamed performer. And instead of her eliminating her, Ginny does it to kind of take the credit for it, which I liked. And in the middle of the match, Xia Brookside hits a Hurricanrana and sends Kaylee Ray through the middle rope, which ties in to the end of the Battle Royal. And, Piper Niven and Jazzy Gabba go at it. Piper Niven hits a wicked headbutt onto Jazzy Gabba, and Xia Brookside hits a dropkick right to the leg, causing her to get eliminated. And I really like Ginny's reaction because she was, pretty shocked because now she's got to do this all herself. She has no advantage. And Isla Dawn, Piper Niven, and Xia Brookside all attack Ginny. And, they're about to eliminate her, but Jazzy Gabba catches her and puts her back in the ring the other side. But, Xia Brookside still eliminates her anyway, so I thought that was a kind of a cool little sequence right there. Rhea Ripley, what else happens? Rhea Ripley ends up eliminating Killer Kelly. Then eventually Nina Samuels gets hit with a springboard elbow, which I thought was pretty cool. And Nina Samuels ends up, getting eliminated as well. And then Rhea Ripley eliminates, who she eliminate? Forget who she eliminates. But then she eliminates, someone. She eliminates, Isla Dawn. But the final, 6 in the match was Xia Brookside, Kaylee Ray, Killer Kelly. Actually, it wasn't Killer Kelly. I wish it was, but it wasn't. But yeah, Killer Kelly, Piper Niven. It was Xia Brookside. Kaylee Ray. I believe it was Nina Samuels, Piper Niven, and I think Isla Dawn. I forget exactly who the final 6 were. And we finally get the big, confrontation, the big brawl between, Piper Niven and Rhea Ripley. They fight for a long-ass time, which I really like. We waited for this for a while. Then eventually, Xia Brookside hits a wicked drop kick, and she eliminates Rhea Ripley, but Rhea Ripley has Piper Niven by the hair, and she pulls Piper Niven out of the ring. Xia Brookside thinks she's won, but that was not to be, because Kaylee Ray pops up right behind her, takes her out with a clothesline, and, eliminates her with, like, some type of black suplex face-first move, which was really goddamn cool. And Kaylee Ray wins the Battle Royal, which makes sense, because they've been setting up, Toni Storm versus Kaylee Ray for a few weeks, or, a few episodes since I'm reviewing this, like, much weeks later. And, Toni Storm, like, forgot about Kaylee Ray when she was mentioning, like, list of opponents that she could go after, so Kaylee Ray makes sense to win it, and I was happy about this. And I really like that the commentators didn't even talk about how, Kaylee Ray was a factor, because on the main roster, they typically would say, oh, don't forget about this person that didn't go over the top rope, because that kind of defeats the purpose. We're supposed to forget about these people, so I like the fact that they did mention them. And I actually like the Battle Royal. I thought it was, pretty good afterwards. Kaylee Ray did an interview on WWE.com exclusive, talking about, how she's finally where she belongs, and she's never going to be forgotten about again, and she said that she's not going to reveal, when she's going to challenge for the NXT UK Women's title, because that'd be stupid. So yeah, that's it. Kaylee Ray, Toni Storm, excited to see that. I think they could actually put on a very, good performance. They probably wrestled before in the Indies, but I haven't seen it yet, so I'm excited about that. And that was, NXT UK episode 48. I actually thought it was a pretty good episode. It's not the best episode ever, but, I thought it, really furthered some storylines. I thought it did a good job of setting up the, United Kingdom Championship match between Travis Banks and Walter, the NXT UK Tag Title match. I enjoyed the Battle Royal and how it sets up, a future NXT UK Women's Title match down the road. I enjoyed that it set up, Noam Dar, Kenny Williams. I even enjoyed, Kenny Williams versus Cassius Ohno. I enjoyed, The Hunt versus Wolfgang and Mark Coffey. I enjoyed how it furthered Dave Mastiff and, Joe Coffey's feud. So, Yeah, I thought it was, pretty good episode. Wasn't like a great episode or anything. So, but I'll give it a B. I thought it was, really good because, it had some nice matches on it for the feuds. So I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was really good. And now I'm going to review NXT for the same date. So, yeah. Like I said, this episode gets a B, and I'll be back fairly shortly to do my NXT review for the same date. Okay, so now it's August 7th, 2019, and it's 12:03 p.m. I know I said I was going to record this portion, right after the NXT UK review, but obviously you can tell that didn't happen since I'm in a completely different location, and the date's days after I did the NXT UK portion of this review. But pretty much what happened was, we went out to eat and stuff, and then I tried to record the video on a Google Hangout Live private afterwards, but apparently they don't let you do that anymore if you don't have 1,000 subscribers, which is stupid. I mean, I can kind of see YouTube's point of view, but I didn't really know that, so that sucked. So then I tried to film the review via my cell phone, but my iPhone storage was full, and I was just about to finish the review, and the recording stopped. So then, I had to go through and clear my, iPhone storage, and then pretty much it took up the rest of the night, so I couldn't really record the video. But so pretty much too, I'm just gonna from this point going forward, if I ever go somewhere and I have a feeling that I'm gonna end up spending the night or something, I'm just gonna take my computer and put it in my backpack, because that's pretty much what happened. I had no computer for the 3 days I was in New Hampshire, which kind of sucked. And then obviously I came back and we had a family day, and then I had to go to work, and then I just didn't get to it until now. So pretty much I'm on crunch time. I have to watch all these episodes before tomorrow, which is Thursday, when I go to so that way when I do the predictions with Christopher Mace, I have it all watched. I am gonna do it though. I'll probably have to pull on all nighter to do it, but it is what it is. But yeah, let's get to the NXT review for June 9th, 2019. We had the commentary team, and this was the first episode that aired in the set of tapings back in Full Sail after NXT TakeOver 25, and we had the commentary team of Mauro Ranallo, Beth Phoenix, and Nigel McGuinness, and the show kicks right off with a promo from Undisputed Era, and Adam Cole said, "Told you so." He said that, he told you that each and every single one of the members of Undisputed Era was going to hold championship gold in 2019, and NXT TakeOver 25, when he won the NXT title, was the start of that. And he says that, Undisputed Era isn't about working from the bottom and trying to work their way up, and, finally win the title. They're going to come in there, beat down whoever is at the top, and take what they want. And he says that they're going to make, NXT, theirs, and, their era and stuff like that. It even shows, a little video of the intro of NXT, and it's just basically all the moments of Undisputed Era that they've had pretty much since they've stepped into NXT, which I really liked. And then Kyle O'Reilly even says, I even put that together myself, and he basically puts the champions on notice, and that if whoever the champions are, just shine those titles up for the rest of the members of Undisputed Era. And then they get interrupted by the Velveteen Dream, and he comes out and says that you think that NXT's Adam Cole. Well, I have some bad news for you. Dream over, because NXT is all Velveteen Dream. He says that his title looks better than Adam Cole's title, and then Roderick Strong goes off on Velveteen Dream and says that he can't hang with the Undisputed Era, and if you think that you're gonna have a shot at the NXT title, well, what's that catchphrase? Dream on. And then Matt Riddle interrupts, and he talks about how he shouldn't be talking about it all, how he's on anybody's level since, he knocked him out at NXT TakeOver 25. And then Adam Cole goes off on Matt Riddle saying that, pretty much everybody that's here has been a champion, and you've dropped every opportunity that you had to become a champion. And he says that, Matt Riddle can't hang with Undisputed Era. And then Matt Riddle brings up the fact that he beat Adam Cole like a bunch of episodes ago. And then, then they get interrupted by Tyler Breeze. And Tyler Breeze talks about, and Adam Cole did make the reference that he's talking that he's talking shit about the Attitude Era, because this was right after, Super Showdown, and everyone knows what happened there. And he said that this isn't the Attitude Era anymore, this is the new era, which I kind of like that they took that shot because it made sense. And then Tyler Breeze comes out and he talks about how he made NXT what it was and put this brand on the map before any one of them even got there. And he says that he was watching this backstage with William Regal, and he says that, they made a 6-man tag team match. It's going to be 3 members of Undisputed Era versus Velveteen Dream, Tyler Breeze, and Matt Riddle. I really like this, though. I like how it set up the main event, and I kind of like how this doesn't feel like one of those random 6-man tag team matches that they typically would make on the main roster. This 6-man tag team match actually made sense, because you have Undisputed Era, who's obviously a faction, but, Velveteen Dream makes sense to be in there because he's the champion, and, Undisputed Era want to go after all the gold. Matt Riddle has a history with Undisputed Era, where he's beaten Adam Cole, and then he beat Roderick Strong, and, Tyler Breeze also has a history with Matt Riddle, well, not Matt Riddle, but Undisputed Era, since he beat Roderick Strong at Worlds Collide all that time back, and also, everyone that Velveteen Dream's teaming with makes sense because he's, at least had matches with them for his North American Championship. So I really like this opening segment. I thought it really built to the main event nicely, and the content in it was very good. Then it shows a build-up video package to the NXT Women's Championship, between Shayna Baszler and Io Shirai. Basically shows everything that's happened from like NXT 25 on. And now they're having, on the next episode, a steel cage match for the title, which I'm really excited about. I actually really can't wait to see that match, so I'm excited about it. And then we had Raul Mendoza versus Damian Priest. This was Damian Priest's first, match as Damian Priest at NXT, because obviously he's wrestled before under a different name. And his entrance just looks awesome. It's like, the lights go out and you see I think it's like the world will burn or something, on the Titantron, and he does the bow and arrow pose, and he just looks like a guy you want to put a world title on and really, not build your company around, but really have one rough shot. And he did that in this match. He absolutely killed Raul Mendoza in the beginning portion of this matchup with a wicked, cyclone kick. He threw him around, but Raul Mendoza did everything he could to try to get some offense. Hit a springboard drop kick, a hurricane outside the ring, but never knocked Damian Priest off his feet. He went for some type of suicide dive on the outside, but Damian Priest catches him and hits a chokeslam onto the apron, and then he hits the running kick for the win, or the discus kick for the win, and Damian Priest beats Raul Mendoza, which makes sense since this was his first match, in NXT. And I really like this. I thought Damian Priest looked like an absolute monster here, and this is exactly what they should be doing with him. I think they should, really push Damian Priest, because I think that'd be awesome. Then we had William Regal's announcement. He announces that, since NXT, since the WWE Performance Center has all this talent that never gets showcased, he thought a great idea was to give these guys an opportunity. He's going to make a single elimination tournament, which he's going to call the NXT Breakout Tournament, I believe it's called. And, he is going to make this tournament, and whoever wins can have a title match of their choosing. I don't know if, it's just in NXT, or if the 205 Live and NXT UK brand will be included as well. Not really sure. And then he announces each competitors in the tournament, and we have the competitors. We have Jordan Miles, also known as ACH. I did like how they kind of said who they also were known as, but we have Jordan Miles. We have Boa. And then Jordan Miles we know from, his MLW and ROH days. Boa I don't really know anything a lot about, so there you go. Cameron Grimes, better known as Trevor Lee, which we know from Impact Wrestling. Then we have Isaiah Swerve Scott, best known as Shane Strickland, which we best know him from in Lucha Underground and MLW. We have Dexter Loomis, best known as Sam Shaw, which we best known from Impact Wrestling. Then we have Bronson Reed, best known as Genoa Rock. I don't really know a lot about him. And then we have Angel Garza, best known as Humberto Garza, best known, as from his appearances, in like AAA, MLW, and Impact Wrestling. And then we have Joaquin Wild, best known as DJZ, best known as his appearances from, Impact Wrestling. And yeah, that was pretty much it. I'm not really a fan, of some of the name changes. I get why they do it, because WWE wants to own the names, but I don't really understand why ACH had to change his name. He couldn't have just been Albert Hardy Jr. like he was in Worlds Collide. I don't understand, why they had to change Trevor Lee's name. Sam Shaw's, I don't really like that name change. I don't have as much of an issue with Humberto Garza, because it's not really that different. But I don't really like, DJZ's new name either. So I really kind of don't like how they do the name changes. I know why they do it. But I really don't like these name changes, I'm going to be honest. I'll probably get used to them, as it goes on. But, there's some I like. I like Damian Priest. I like that new name. But other than that, I really don't like, the name changes. But then we have, the tournament bracket, which is, I think I deleted the photo, so I got to find it on my Facebook feed. So you're going to have to give me a second. I might not be able to find it. So that's going to suck if I can't, but if I can't, I can't. So I shall try. I'm going to look for it. I don't know where it is. I think I deleted it because, like I said, I was deleting a lot of stuff from my photos. So just give me a second. I might be able to find the photo. If I can't find it, then I'll just, then that will suck. Because I don't, I had the tournament bracket, I took the picture and everything. I just don't know where it is. Because it might not be here. I'm gonna look real quick. It might be in my photos. Might be. I'm not sure. There it is. I mean, they announced the brackets. I just don't know where they are. And I thought I had it. I'll look one last time. Or maybe I can, because I don't want to. I want to look at, okay, here it is. Here's a non-spoiler version of it. Sorry it took so long. So it's going to be the first round matches as they read right now. It's going to be Dexter Loomis versus Bronson Reed, Isaiah Swerve Scott versus Cameron Grimes, Angel Garza versus Joaquin Wild, and Jordan Miles versus Boa. I believe the first match that was announced was Angel Garza versus Joaquin Wild. But yeah, I like the fact that they're doing this tournament. It's a new way to, introduce all these superstars at once rather than just having them come out and be enhancement talent and such. And I really like it. I think it's going to be a really big star. And it's something different for NXT to do, so I actually like it. I like it that they're doing something different. Then we had a video package for Mia Yim where they talk about her history. They talk about how where she was born, how she was born. I believe they said in Los Angeles, California, but she's Korean descent and African American descent. and she talked about how she was born, she was there during like the riots that took place like in '92 between the Koreans and the African Americans, and she really wasn't treated differently since she was a mixture of both. And she talks about how she likes wrestling because it was an escape from real life, which, if I could escape from real life like that, then I would like professional wrestling as well. I mean, I do, but I'm just saying, with what she had to go through. And she talks about how she wrestled for years on the indies, and then when she got to the Mae Young Classics in 2018, people pushed for her to get signed, and when she did get signed, she said that she wants to use that to really show the fans that she was honored to get signed. And then she basically sends a message to Shayna Baszler saying that you want to run this division, you're going to have to go through the HBIC. And that was basically it. I thought it was a nice video package, nice way to kind of, get some insight into Mia Yim. So I really liked it. Then we had the next match. It was Tanoa Conti versus Xia Li. This match really was just filler. Really wasn't that much of a fan of it. Wasn't, I guess, anything too bad, but it wasn't anything all that good. Tanoa Conti just really isn't that good. Every time she has a match, it's really not that good. So this is really nothing different here. Xia Li won with the discus big boot, and that was pretty much it. So Xia Li wins, which kind of makes sense because they seem to be more behind her than Tanoa Conti since she's been, in the Royal Rumble and stuff like that. So that kind of makes sense. Then we had the Street Profits have a promo. This was their Street Talk promo that they do via Snapchat. And they talk about how they finally won the NXT Tag Team Championships, but the work has just begun because they have to face, two members of the Forgotten Sons on the next episode. And yeah, it was just basically the typical Street Profits promo, but I really liked it. It's really entertaining. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Then we had the main event. It was a 6-man tag team match. Matt Riddle, Velveteen Dream, and Tyler Breeze versus Roderick Strong, Adam Cole, and Bobby Fish with Kyle O'Reilly inside. At first, I was surprised that Kyle O'Reilly wasn't in the match. Typically, if they do some type of tag team match with Kyle O'Reilly, with Undisputed Era, Kyle O'Reilly is usually in it. But I actually thought it made sense. Well, obviously it made sense because he was injured from the ladder match, so he can't really do a lot of wrestling. That's why he pulled from being a part of the Download Festival shows of NXT UK. But I actually kind of like the fact, that they kind of changed it up because, you can't have Kyle O'Reilly wrestle every time. It's nice to change up the format. So I liked it. But yeah, I like the match. They really showcased how, Tyler Breeze, Roderick Strong, Tyler Breeze, Matt Riddle, and Velveteen Dream weren't like that for more of a team because they couldn't even decide who was going to start the match. But then when it finally happened, Adam Cole and Matt Riddle started the match, and they start doing some nice chain wrestling holds on each other, and Matt Riddle's getting the upper hand, which I really like. And then eventually, it leads to Velveteen Dream and him going at it, and the faces get the upper hand in the beginning. Matt Riddle gets on a roll with wide variety of offense, but then eventually Velveteen Dream gets taken out on the outside, and Roderick Strong Kyle O'Reilly causes a distraction. Roderick Strong, Bobby Fish takes him out with a leg sweep, and the heels get the heat for a while on Matt Riddle. But then eventually Tyler Breeze gets the hot tag, and he starts going off on Roderick Strong. He hits the beauty shot on him, and he's going to get the win, but, Roderick Strong gets the ropes. And Tyler Breeze is on a great deal of momentum. He's about to suicide dive himself on the outside. But Velveteen Dream makes the tag, and pretty much that's when the match ends for the team of, Riddle, Dream, and Breeze. They end up losing, and Roderick Strong hits the Messiah of the Backbreaker onto Velveteen Dream, pins him, and gets the win. Obviously made sense for Undisputed Era to get the win since they're the more dominant faction. And Adam Cole just won the NXT title. He shouldn't be losing his first match back in NXT. And this is a great way to kind of build up a storyline because now Roderick Strong has a reason to challenge for the North American title since he got a pinfall victory on the NXT North American champion. And it wasn't one of those cases where, Even Riddle, Dream, and Breeze looked weak. They just couldn't get along as a team, so that's what did them in the end. And Undisputed Era was more formidable as a tag team. So I really like the way they did all of this. I give it a thumbs up. And yeah, that was it. And then afterwards, we had some WWE.com exclusive. We had Shane Thorne, go off on the NXT Breakout tournament, saying that it shouldn't even exist, and saying that it's just people that weren't good enough to get an opportunity and taking time away from him. And then Undisputed Era would do like another promo talking about how now that Roderick Strong pinned Velveteen Dream, he can have a title match, stuff like that. But that was NXT for June 19th, 2019. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a great episode. I liked how it was like the first follow-up show after pretty much NXT TakeOver 25, where they really started the storylines. I enjoyed Damian Priest's debut. I enjoyed the opening promo and the six-man tag. I enjoyed William Regal's announcement. The only thing and Mia Yim's video package and the Street Profits promo. The only thing I really didn't enjoy was the women's match, but other than that, I thought it was a great episode. I'm gonna give it a B+, and that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. And now I'm gonna I'm gonna come right back. I'm gonna watch NXT UK from whatever the next episode is. I think it's episode 49. I'm gonna watch episode 49 and then come back on here and review it. So I will be right back. Okay, so now we have episode 49 of NXT UK, which aired on June 26, 2019, and we had the same people on commentary for the show. It was still taped, in the Download Festival. This was the second episode of the tapings, and it opened right up with Travis Banks backstage cutting a promo, and he says that at NXT TakeOver New York, Walter was prepared for Pete Dunne, and he says that, Walter doesn't know what he's going to get from Travis Banks tonight. I kind of like how they're telling that story because, you have Walter who, dethroned Pete Dunne, and he's prepared so much for Pete Dunne, and kind of Travis Banks, is kind of someone that you really wouldn't expect to take the title from him, so he's kind of someone that he's underestimated. Really enjoyed that story. Then it cuts to the intro, then we have the first match on the show. It was Mark Andrews versus Joseph Connors. I believe this was a rematch from the first WWE United Kingdom Championship tournament in 2017. So I thought that was kind of cool right there. And I thoroughly enjoyed the match. Mark Andrews gets the upper hand on Joseph Connors throughout much of it. But then eventually, Mark Andrews attacks the neck of Mark Andrews, and he really goes to work on him. And he actually goes for the springboard flatliner, but Mark Andrews holds on to the ropes, and Mark Andrews starts to mount a comeback. He hits a head scissors, a suicide dive on the outside. He hits a roll up, but Joseph Connors kicks out of it. Joseph Connors hits a suplex, a sunset flip into the turnbuckles, but doesn't get the victory. He goes for a second suplex, but Mark Andrews counters into the Stun Dog Millionaire, and then eventually hits the Land of Pieces, which is the shooting star press for the win. It makes sense for Mark Andrews to go over because he's, someone that'd be pushing more, but I'm kind of disappointed to see, Joseph Connors' position in NXT UK because he's someone I think that actually could, be in contention for the WWE United Kingdom title in the main event scene, but really haven't done a lot with him. He always kind of will be featured in, feuds, but never really wins them, and it's really kind of just disappointing because I really like Joseph Connors. But I really liked the match, so I thought it was good. And then the Hunt's outside, and since this is at the Download Festival, they don't have a backstage area, so all the segments that would be backstage are just outside, which I think is cool. And they're over by the wall of the festival, and they're freaking out, and Dave Massive comes up and says that they have the same problem with Gallus, and he says to the Hunt, are you really going to let Gallus take over NXT UK, or are we going to do something about it? And pretty much the Hunt don't really say anything, but they grunt and, war and stuff, basically agreeing with them, and, basically Dave Massive and the Hunt form an alliance to go up against Gallus, which I think makes sense. And I actually like it because, this isn't one of those, like, random six-man tag team matches. This one actually has reason because everyone in this, segment is feuding with Gallus, and I actually like it. And I actually kind of just love the altercation that Dave Mastiff and the Hunt had with each other. Thought it was good. Yeah, and then Johnny Sane announced it on his Twitter that not the next episode, but 2 episodes, in the next 2 episodes, we're going to have Gallus versus the Hunt and Dave Mastiff, which I actually am really looking forward to that matchup. I actually think that could be quite a really good 6-man tag team match. It's probably, not going to be, a great 6-man tag team match because we've seen, a lot of fantastic ones recently, but I think it'll be a really good one. And then the Girls Again veterans come out, and Zach Gibson cuts a promo talking about how he's upset that he has to defend the NXT UK tag team titles at the Download Festival, and he insults the crowd. It was really good. He insults, saying that he insults pretty much the hygiene and stuff like that, and says that when they defend the NXT UK tag team titles against Mustache Mountain on the next episode, they're going to, go there, and they're going to try to get out of the Download Festival as fast as they can. I thought this was a really nice way for the Grizzly Den veterans to get heat. You could say cheap heat because he's just insulting the crowd, but he did it in such a way where it was just genius. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it kind of makes sense that he would kind of do this since you kind of get the sense that, Zach Gibson and even James Drake too are high class and everyone, at the Download Festival isn't. So it just works on so many different levels. It's not like the cheap sports heat where they're just doing it for the sake of doing it. So I have thoroughly enjoyed that. And, I can't wait to see the rematch on the next episode. And then it shows a video package showing everything that's been going on between Rhea Ripley and Piper Niven's feud. Piper Niven says that she's been going after Rhea Ripley because she thinks that she's the most dominant woman in NXT UK, and also thinks, that you can just bully everybody around. And Rhea Ripley says that she, Piper Niven disrespected the first ever NXT UK Women's Champion, and says that, she's not really bullying people, she's just putting them in their place, and she's going to do the same thing to Piper Niven on the next episode, because it gets announced that on the next episode, episode 50, it's going to be Piper Niven versus Rhea Ripley. But I'm kind of like, about time. I've been waiting for a while for this match, and I really did. I know you could have really built this match up to happen at NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff, but that's on August 31st, and this was June 26th. I couldn't have waited, 2 more months to see this because it's just getting ridiculous. I'm glad we get to finally see them go at it. Don't know who's gonna win. I could see the match just getting thrown out, and then them really intensifying the heat and doing the match, again in NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff. I wouldn't complain about that, or maybe it's the last match we see up the Download Festival tapings. I'm not really sure, but I'm really excited about it. Then we have Killer Kelly versus Xia Brookside. This match made sense since, Killer Kelly left Xia Brookside high and dry after Ginny and Jazzy Gablet attacked her. So I actually liked the fact that they actually had story. And, Xia Brookside, gets some offense in the beginning. She hits a really nice, head scissors takeover. But then eventually, Killer Kelly picks apart the shoulder and the arm of Xia Brookside. She does an inverted abdominal stretch and really stretches her shoulder back, which was cool. She hits a, bridge German suplex, but doesn't get the win. And then Xia Brookside starts to mount a comeback. And then during this comeback, Ginny and Jazzy Gablet come out and they provide enough of a distraction with Killer Kelly can clock her right in the back of the head. And she tries to get the win with a roll-up, but it doesn't work. And then Xia Brookside hits the, run blower for the win. I did like the fact that, Xia Brookside, even despite the distraction, didn't lose because it actually doesn't make her look like a geek. And, it doesn't really make sense for her to lose after that impressive battle royal, in the previous episode. So I actually like it, and I kind of think you can build a nice underdog storyline in the future for Xia Brookside, where she wins the
NXT UK Women's title. You just have to have like a really dominant heel be the champion, and I think it can happen, at some point. It does suck though for um, Killer Kelly, because I've talked about before how I think that she should be like one of the top contenders in the NXT UK Women's Division. I think uh, she's got that MMA background, and she just looks like a badass, and I don't really think she should be used as enhancement talent. Not saying she got jobbed out here, but I feel like she should be definitely in a better position than she is. I think she's way better than Ginny. I think she's way better than Nina Samuels. I think she's way better. Than Zaya Brookside, and it kind of sucks that they're getting the pushes over her. I mean, maybe her day will come. I think it will, but it just really sucks because I think she's very talented, and she just has that presence about her where she's just dominant. So basically, everything I just said about Joseph Connors, you could just say about Killer Kelly. Then Toni Storm gets interviewed, and she talks about her future NXT UK Women's Championship match against Kaylee Ray, and she says that she's upset that she won't announce when it's going to happen. She also announces that in 2 episodes, which would be episode 50, she's going to have a match, and she says because it's Tony time all the time. So there's that. Thought it was a good promo. Then we had Noam Dar versus Ligero. I actually was stoked to see this match because they've never faced off before, and I actually was kind of like, I'm actually interested in this match. And Noam Dar, I really like his new character. He's mocking Ligero because he's got the horns on his head. He mocks him by like putting his jacket out as if he's a bull, thinking he's gonna charge at it. And he plays around with him throughout most of this match. He trips him. Ligero returns the favor, but then eventually Noam Dar starts to get the heat, and he really dominates Ligero during the match. Kenny Williams comes out, and he comes out with a chair, provides a distraction, and we think that he's going to help Noam Dar, and that's actually how Noam Dar gets the advantage. Is he uses this distraction to dominate Ligero. Ligero mounts a comeback. He goes for the C4L, but Noam Dar counters it, and then eventually Noam Dar hits a really cool Fisherman Buster, doesn't get the win. Ligero hits a really cool sidekick into a senton, really like that. But then eventually, Ligero, Noam Dar goes for a double knees off the turnbuckle, the top turnbuckle, and Ligero moves, and he sells his knee again, and we know that this is fake because he's pulled this trick, before. And, referee's checking on him, and he behind the referee's back, he shows that he's really faking it, and he asks Kenny Williams to hand him the steel chair, and Kenny Williams contemplates this, and he goes to hand him the chair, but then he decides not to, saying that this is bullshit, you're cheating, and, he pulls the chair away, and Noam Dar, just goes to cheap shot Ligero counters into a roll-up, gets the win, and, Ligero wins. And I like this because this continues the feud between Kenny Williams and Noam Dar. And I was bought in. I actually thought Kenny Williams was going to turn heel and join forces with Noam Dar, which I kind of wish they did that. I'm not mad that they did do that, but I feel like Kenny Williams as a babyface. I mean, it's not working, but I feel like he would be better as a heel with Noam Dar. I actually think that would be a pretty damn good tag team. But I'm actually not going to complain the fact that they're not doing that, because I really like Kenny Williams as a babyface. Still think he should be in 205 Live. I think that's just a better spot for him. I think like he would really thrive better in 205 Live versus NXT UK. But I still like this. I like that it furthered the feud between Kenny Williams and Noam Dar. I do think we're going to get a match, not an NXT UK Takeover Carter, but I could see it, in a future taping. But I really like this, and I like that the fact that Ligero won. Kind of doesn't really make sense for him to lose because they just did like a video package for him like prior to this, and I like Ligero. I think he's an awesome athlete. Then we had the main event. It was the WWE United Kingdom Championship match. WWE United Kingdom Champion Walter versus Travis Banks. I really like the way this match was worked. Travis Banks, because he's the bigger athlete. He just dissects Travis Banks in the beginning of this matchup. By walking all over his face like while he's on the turnbuckle, hitting big boots, and just really showcasing his power to take down Travis Banks. And eventually Travis Banks tries him as a comeback. He goes after the leg of Walter and eventually knocks him down. He hits a running drop kick right to his leg. And, he's using his speed and his quickness to take down Walter. He goes for the senton. Travis Banks moves, the drop kick. Travis Banks moves out of the way, hits a senton, and Walter kicks out. He hits the double stomp from the top turnbuckle. Walter kicks out again, and Walter gets him into a Boston Crab. Travis Banks grabs the ropes. Travis Banks had sliced to heaven, and you think he's going to get the win that way, but Walter rolls out of the win, and then eventually Travis Banks hits a wicked kick. He hits the suicide dive through the ropes, and because of all that energy he had to use to get Walter into the win, it cost him in the end because Walter hits a big boot, and Travis Banks falls off the apron, and then Walter hits a wicked chop, and then he hits a powerbomb into the apron, and then he puts him in the ring, hits a second powerbomb, and gets the win. And Walter retains the United Kingdom Championship. The show goes off the air, and that pretty much was the end of NXT UK. But I really liked, Travis Banks versus Walter. I wasn't fooled for a second that, Walter was going to lose the title, but I really thought that it was, still a really good match. I thought it really showcased how Travis Banks was a nice underdog, and he was using all this quickness to take down Walter in, a believable way. It's not like he was out there and, out wrestling him or anything. He was just using his quickness and speed, and I really liked, how it wasn't enough. Walter was just too powerful, just too strong to win the title. Like the fact that he won clean. He didn't, need Imperium to help him win, because, some of the problems with the main roster is, when the heels win, they have to do all this interference. That wasn't the case here. Walter just went in there and beat him. So I like this. This gets a thumbs up. And I actually thought we had a great show here. I really enjoyed, how this, built to, future shows like the NXT UK Tag Team title match with the segment they did. The 6-man tag team match between Gallus and the Hunt and Dave Mastiff. We're going to get, Tony Storm's match, and they're even building, a future, NXT UK Women's title match between Tony Storm and Kaylee Ray. And I also like the matches on it. I like Joseph Connors versus Mark Andrews. I liked Killer Kelly versus Zaya Brookside. And I like Ligero versus Noam Doe. But I also enjoyed how it is still further in storylines like with Kenny Williams and, what's his name? Yeah, Kenny Williams and Noam Da. So I enjoyed this show. I thought it was great. I'm going to give it a B+. And that's pretty much it. And now I'm going to review NXT for the same date.
Okay, so now it's the same date, August 17th, 2019, and it's 4:28 p.m. I had to go do some yard work and ate lunch in between, so that's why I didn't do the NXT review right away. So I'm here doing it now. So now we have NXT for June 26, 2019. It was 16. That's 3 years ago, but 2019. And we had some WWE.com exclusives before the show, and they were just mainly interviews building up the first round match of the NXT Breakout Star Tournament. First, we had one for Joaquin Wilde, and he just pretty much says that, he's feeling wild all the time. That's basically his gimmick, is that he's just a wild and out there character. And he said that he's faced Angel Garza, back in Mexico and has beaten him before, so this will just be another day at the office for him. And he's going to use that momentum and win the whole tournament, and then get a championship match of his choice. And then Angel Garza has an interview and basically, says that he's NXT's next breakout star. He says that Joaquin Wilde is just a lamer version of him, and says that he's going to prove that when he beats him on the show, and it wins the whole NXT Breakout Star Tournament. I like these interviews. It gave us, more into the characters, more of these two wrestlers' characters, and it would build pretty nicely to the match on the show. Then we had the actual show itself. We had the same people on commentary as the, June 19th episode, and it kicked right off with the NXT Breakout Star Tournament first round match. Joaquin Wilde versus Angel Garza. I thoroughly enjoyed this match. Before the match, we had, a couple of promos kind of introducing us to these characters. Joaquin Wilde talked about, how he's wrestled all over the world. And, in 2017, he had to have surgery that nearly ended his life. And he never thought that he would be back wrestling ever again, which is true. And says that he's going to, use that near-death experience to help him win the tournament. Angel Garza talks about how, no one's like him in this tournament, and the reason why he calls himself Angel is because of the way he looks. And he said that he's, the next big star, and he's going to win the tournament. And we have the match, and it's actually a pretty damn great match. I thought it was really good. They both, Joaquin Wilde, I almost called him his other name, but I can't do that. Hits a tilt-a-whirl body splash, which was cool. He hits a really cool drop kick. Angel Garza gets the advantage, and he really targets the back of Joaquin Wilde. I really liked how he was doing the straight jacket submission, and then Joaquin Wilde reverses it into one himself. Then Joaquin Wilde starts to make a comeback. He hits a head scissors into a DDT, a springboard double stomp, and which was pretty goddamn cool. Joaquin Wilde does a really cool submission. He hits a a last chancery neck breaker, which was cool. Angel Garza hits a really cool super Spanish fly from the top turnbuckle, but doesn't quite get the win. Joaquin Wilde tries to get the win with a roll-up, doesn't happen. But then eventually, Angel Garza hits a double underhook stunner for the win, and Angel Garza advances in the tournament. I actually really had no issue with this. I like Angel Garza. He does the whole thing too, where he takes his pants off like he used to do, in MLW and in Impact Wrestling and in AAA. So I really like that. And I just thought this match was really good. I definitely really enjoyed it. And I thought this was the perfect match to kind of give people a taste of what to expect in this tournament. So I really like this. And afterwards, on the WWE.com exclusive, Angel Garza did an interview saying that he's the only superstar that really has a chance of winning this tournament, and nobody compares to him. So I really like that. Then Kushida does a video package, and he talks about how the past few weeks has been a significant change for him. He said that he looks forward to seeing what the rest of his life holds for him. Not just in NXT, but, Raw, SmackDown, Live, and 205 Live. He looks forward to see who's going to come out and challenge him. And he said that he's going to fight everybody in the WWE. Thought it was a good video package. Thought it was a good way to showcase Kushida, and I really liked it. Then Damian Priest has an interview, and pretty much they try to ask him a question, but they just pretty much said that my actions speak louder than words, pretty much. I really like this. I really like Damian Priest's character, and I actually think they should keep this going because it's pretty damn great. And then we had the Street Profits versus Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake with Jackson Riker inside. And before the match starts, the Street Profits cut a promo pretty much saying that they want to be fighting champions, so they want to defend the NXT Tag Team Championships. They want the match. They want it to be for the titles, so they agree to it. And we're having a pretty fun match. Cutler and Blake do a double hip toss cannonball right across the back of the neck of Montez Ford, and they do a torture rack neck breaker combination, and then they do a fireman's carry neck breaker combination, but they never get the win. And then eventually Angelo Dawkins gets the hot tag, and I think this is when they started to when they first revealed the who's got the smoke line, because now they say that on the main roster, and they said this is the first time I've heard them say it. And Angelo Dawkins gets the hot tag. He starts running wild, and then eventually hits the pop-up spine buster into the frog splash. However, Jackson Riker pulls out Montez Ford, calls it a disqualification, which I don't have an issue with because maybe they're going to build this match up to a takeover match. And it's not like I said that they did a 20-minute match and then threw it out. It was only a few minutes, so I don't really have much of an issue with that. And they never said this was for the titles. They said they wanted the titles to be on the line, but it wasn't official or anything like that, which is kind of something cool because typically on the main roster, if that happens, It just happens without and they say, well, we heard word from the back, but here it was kind of questionable, so I like that. But Jackson Riker and the Forgotten Sons beat down the Street Profits, and then Orny Lorcan and Danny Burch come out and they make the save, and they take out, the Forgotten Sons. They send them packing, and afterwards you see Orny Lorcan and Danny Burch, holding on to the titles like they want the championships, and then they give them back to the Street Profits, saying that it's theirs. And Danny Burch then says that you almost won because remember what we did for you. So I could see, like, in the future, we a couple of tag team title matches getting announced. Maybe at TakeOver Toronto 2, we have, Cutler and Blake versus the Street Profits again, since they have to kind of finish that off. And then in the future, well, not in the future, but on one of the tape-ins, we're going to have, the Street Profits versus Lorcan and Burch. Because Lorcan and Burch did beat Strawn and O'Reilly not that long ago, so I think they have to have a title match. I think it just makes sense. So I actually like this. I like the fact that they're doing stuff for the tag team division. And then we had a vignette for Killian Dane, who's returning to NXT. I'm actually pretty excited about that. I actually thought he would go to NXT UK, considering the fact that, he's Irish and stuff like that. But I actually don't really have much of an issue with him going to NXT. I actually think, he'll thrive better there because of his size and stuff like that. And I think he'll just, I think it's just kind of cool. You have one member of, like, the formal Sanity. You have one on the main roster. You have one in NXT UK. And now you have one, in NXT. I think that's pretty cool. Kind of a nice way to separate them. And Killian Dane, I think, could do some great stuff in NXT. He was just kind of starting to hit his stride right before he was called up to the main roster. So I actually kind of like this. And, they show, like, a vignette of him watching, like, tragic events that had happened in the past in the world. So I really like this. And, yeah, I can't wait to see Killian Dane come back to NXT. Because I thought he'd stay on SmackDown, but I don't think he'll be used very well at all on SmackDown. Which is kind of surprising, considering the fact that he's big, but I guess not. Then, Aaliyah and Vanessa Bourne cut a promo backstage, and they basically mock Mia Yim's vignette video package they had the previous episode. So, Aaliyah basically challenges Mia Yim to a match, which she's going to do something about it on the next episode. This actually was pretty good. I actually do think Aaliyah and Vanessa Bourne are improving on the microphone. In the ring is still here or there because, when they do have matches, they're not particularly that good unless they wrestle someone that can carry them to a good match. And I think Mia Yim is capable of carrying Aaliyah to a good match because I think Aaliyah largely is fine. It's just Vanessa Bourne's just shit, I think. But that's just my opinion. Then we had Nico's Ricos versus Keith Lee. I really enjoyed this. Nico Ricos, tries to do a lockup as Keith Lee is doing his bask in his glory taunt. And then he does a chop, but it has no effect on him. And then Keith Lee does a wicked chop that, destroys the chest of Nico's Ricos. And then he hits a wicked pounce, nearly sending Nico Ricos outside the ring. And then he hits the Limitless Breaker, which is a fireman's carry, into a, jackhammer for the win. And, Keith Lee wins. I like the fact that they're building up Keith Lee, so I'm fine with this. And then it showed the Bay Championship Tour, which is, Adam Cole touring with the NXT Championship. He shows that, the difference between his and Johnny Gargano's is that he's actually traveling in class with his own private jet, and he takes a shot at Johnny Gargano for that. It shows him going to the Download Festival and defending his NXT Championship against Dave Mastiff, and apparently, obviously, he won because you saw him leave and said just another day's work. You see him on the phone with Roderick Strong, and, he asks if he places the order, and he says that, I just got in from the Download Festival, and I'll be there in a minute. And then we see that he ordered, at Gargano's restaurant, and he has like some type of filing papers. And we also saw that he was with a crew member from Skillshot, like one of the guys in that band, and they were like celebrating together as well while he was at the Download Festival. So I like this. I actually thought it was a nice way to present Adam Cole as the NXT champion, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. Then we had the main event. It was a steel cage match for the NXT Women's Championship. NXT Women's Champion Shayna Baszler versus Io Shirai. I thought this was a great main event. I really enjoyed it. Shayna Baszler came out and she was dressed in UFC gloves, which makes sense because typically, in the UFC they fight in a cage, so it makes sense for her to do that, or MMA, whatever you want to call it. And Shayna Baszler gets the upper hand throughout the beginning portions of the matchup on Io Shirai. She hits a wicked stomp right to the back of her neck, and this kind of messes up her equilibrium because Io Shirai, does the best she can to try to do whatever she can, but her equilibrium is just all types of messed up. Io Shirai hits a wicked palm strike right onto Shayna Baszler. She tries to escape the cage, but Shayna Baszler stops it. She throws her face first into the cage, and then throws her spine first into like the support beam of the cage. And Shayna Baszler methodically picks apart, Io Shirai by grinding her face into the cage, stomping her head in, twisting her neck, things like that. Knees right to the back of the spine. And then Io Shirai, starts to mount a comeback. She hits a really cool German suplex with a bridge, but doesn't get the win the first time. And then she hits a second one, but doesn't do the bridge because, her equilibrium's all types of messed up. And then she hits the running double knees into the corner. She goes for as if she's going to do a moonsault, but Shayna Baszler stops it, and Shayna Baszler throws her off the cage, and you think she's going to go and make the escape, but Shayna Baszler hits a wicked German suplex onto Io Shirai hits a wicked German suplex off the cage onto Shayna Baszler, and she can easily just go out the door, and she's about to go out the door, but Duke and Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir run out. They prevent the door from being closed, and Io Shirai, is upset about this. Shayna Baszler tries to carry the Kirifuda clutch, but Io Shirai rolls out of it and hits a double stomp. And when she did the roll out of it, when you go up with the turnbuckles and climb it and get out of it that way, she inadvertently, took out Duke and Shafir and the referee, so the referee outside the ring that typically would open the door isn't there. So, Jessamine Duke's holding the door shut, and, Jessamine Duke's holding the door shut. And then Io Shirai tries to climb out over the cage, but Marina Shafir stops her. They get into a brawl, and Candice LeRae runs out. She throws Jessamine Duke into the cage, and she kicks Marina Shafir off the cage. And then she comes into the ring, and she gets hit with a crossbody. She hits, Marina Shafir with a high crossbody off the cage, and then Shayna Baszler hits a wicked high knee onto her, and then Io Shirai hits a moonsault off the cage onto Shayna Baszler, and then everybody's laid out. Shayna Baszler and Io Shirai try to escape to the door. They have a struggle for a while. Shayna Baszler repeatedly puts the Kirifuda clutch onto Io Shirai, and she gets out of it by hitting her by ramming her into the turnbuckle. And then eventually she closes the door onto Shayna Baszler's head, and Shayna Baszler falls out of the cage and retains the NXT Women's title. Really like the finish, that it was just kind of circumstance that Shayna Baszler just happened to fall out of the cage and win the title. It was kind of like one of those nice heelish ways to win, but it didn't really hurt anybody involved. And afterwards, I even like how Shayna Baszler didn't even realize what happened because she got knocked out from the getting the door closed on her. So I really like the way they did all this. And then afterwards, Io Shirai and Candice LeRae are sitting there disappointed. Io Shirai attacks Candice LeRae. She lays her out with right hands and such. And you think she's just doing this because she's frustrated. And then she goes under the ring, grabs a steel chair, and beats down Candice LeRae with the steel chair. And then she opens up the chair and hits a brain buster right into the chair, right onto Candice LeRae. And Io Shirai is now a heel. She says, I don't need friends. I don't care about any of the fans now. And she's talking like in Japanese. And I actually really like the way they did this. I think it makes sense for Io Shirai to kind of turn heel because she's repeatedly been so close to getting to the NXT Women's title. And it's been, so close, but yet so far. And I think she just finally had a boiling point, and I actually think, it makes sense. And plus, there really wasn't a whole lot she could really do as a baby face, and we've kind of seen, the Japanese babyface done in NXT, you know, with others before. Why not try doing a heel? I actually think this can really work, and I'm actually really excited about it. I think, too, NXT really needs some top heels in the women's division because they don't really have a lot. I think it's just Shayna Baszler and then Aaliyah and, like, Vanessa Bourne and such. Really nobody else. Maybe Bianca Belair, but we haven't seen her in a while. And she's kind of like a tweener. She'll sometimes be a face, sometimes be a heel. So this way, it kind of helps balance that out. And afterwards, you see on WWE.com that Candice LeRae was receiving medical attention. So I really like this. I'm actually looking forward to seeing what they do with this. And yeah, I'm excited about this. And that was NXT. I honestly thought that this was a pretty fantastic show. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed, you know, the NXT Breakout Star Tournament match. I enjoyed the NXT Tag Team title match, or just the Tag Team match, whatever it was on the show, with Street Profits and Forgotten Sons. I enjoyed Kushida's video package. I enjoyed the setup of Mia Yim versus Aaliyah. I enjoyed Killian Day, the announcement of his return. Keith Lee, I enjoyed his performance on the show. And I even enjoyed the main event. So I'm going to give the show an A-. I really enjoyed it. And that's pretty much it for my NXT review. And now I'm going to watch NXT UK episode 49 and have my review of that out fairly shortly. Okay, so now it's August 7th, 2019, and it's 7:30 p.m. I know I said I'd be right back to do the video, but then I went to eat dinner, and then I had to go do more waking, so I literally just finished the show like a couple minutes ago. So let's get right onto the review. This is the July 3rd episode of NXT UK. This is actually episode 50. I thought it was 49, but that was the last episode. But this right here is episode 50, which it's awesome that NXT UK's reached episode 50. I mean, the fact that, you know, that they did 2 episodes per week, you know, at one point helped. But yeah, I liked it's pretty cool that it's at episode 50. They didn't do anything special because, you know, they're halfway to 100. But I think for the 100th episode, they'll do something special for it. But let's get to this episode of, you know, NXT UK. Before the actual show started, we had a WWE.com exclusive video with Rhea Ripley saying that she wants to fight Piper Niven, that she doesn't want to mess with her. I actually enjoyed that promo. I thought it was good. Then we had the show itself, and Rhea Ripley was supposed to wrestle Piper Niven later on in the show, but she just came right out and she wanted to fight Piper Niven right then and there. So they had the match, and it was actually a pretty good match. You know, they had like a big brawl all over the place, and Rhea Ripley got the advantage throughout the beginning portions of it, but Piper Niven, you know, fought Rhea Ripley off, threw her to the outside, but then eventually Rhea Ripley pulled Piper Niven onto the outside, and she started beating down on her. She threw her into the barricade, or the guardrails, since, you know, it's it's an NXT UK show, and then she threw her head face first into the ring post. I actually like how she went to break the counter when she got out of the ring again. She hit like a wicked knee to Piper Niven. I thought that was awesome. And, you know, Piper Niven really went to work on, not Piper Niven, Rhea Ripley really went to work on Piper Niven. She had a wicked drop kick right into the turnbuckle. Piper Niven tried to steal the win with a roll-up, but it didn't work. And then Piper Niven hit a wicked drop kick. She started to mount a comeback. But then eventually Rhea Ripley went for the riptide, but Piper Niven countered it into the headbutt, and then she hit the cannonball right across the back, and then she hit the Piper driver for the win. And I actually enjoyed this match. I thought it was pretty good. I was fine with, you know, Piper Niven winning, just because the fact that she's newer to NXT UK, and, you know, I don't think it hurts really Rhea Ripley that much at all for losing. And yeah, I also really enjoyed this. You know, I think the feud's going to continue. I think Rhea Ripley's going to get, like, upset and attack Piper Niven, like, backstage or something. And I'm just happy that we finally got the match. At first, I thought the match was just going to get thrown out, but I'm glad that they actually wrestled, because we had to wait so long for it. And I know I say waiting for things makes it, you know, that much better, but it felt like it just took so long for them to finally get to this point. So I'm happy that they're here. So I was thrilled about that. Then Kenny Williams gets interviewed, and he goes to talk about, like, why he did what he did to Noam Dar in the last episode. However, before he can really say anything, Noam Dar attacks him from behind, and he's like outside. And since this is like a festival show, he smothers him into the mud and just beats the crap out of him and says that, you really should have let me take you under your wing. I thought this was good. I actually am enjoying, the Kenny Williams, Noam Dar feud. I think it's pretty good because they have nice history together. I really wish they would have done something where Noam Dar actually admitted that he took out Kenny Williams' tag team partner. Maybe they'll do that at some point, but I enjoyed this. Then we had a vignette for Ilya Dragunov announcing that he's going to be on the next episode. Then we had Jack Stars versus Alexander Wolf. And this was Alexander Wolf's first match
in NXT UK. And pretty much he's not really his sanity gimmick anymore, which was, fairly obvious. But like this time he's like really embraced it. He comes out to Walter's theme song. So I don't know if every member of Imperium's going to come out to Walter's theme song, if it's just going to be Alexander Wolf until they like find the theme song for him. I kind of hope that's, the case, because I actually like, Eichner and Bartel's theme song, because I like Eichner's theme song. It's pretty good. Yeah, Alexander Wolf is actually acting normal, and it actually makes sense that he's normal. I know a lot of people say, well, you can't just go from being crazy to being normal. Alexander Wolf really wasn't doing all that much anyways on the main roster, and he had been off television for like a month, so I can believe that he got normal. I can believe that. Yeah, Alexander Wolf gets into the ring, and he puts on a mat wrestling clinic with Jack Stars, which was pretty cool. He hits a wicked pump kick to the face, hits a wicked neck breaker, wicked clothesline, and he's just toying around pretty much, with Jack Stars. He hits he finally gets the win with the Death Valley Driver into the power bomb. He gets the win, and I actually kind of like it because it kind of gives you more of a reason why Imperium is in a faction, because they all do the powerbomb as a finisher, so I really enjoyed that. Then Gallus is backstage, and they basically use this segment, and like I said, backstage is basically the locker room area, and they basically use this segment to build to the match coming up on the next episode between, Gallus and the Hunt and Dave Mastiff, because, they say, that, like, the kingdom is theirs, and they think that, Dave Mastiff and the Hunt, who are, like, these scringy people, really can't hang with them, stuff like that. Then we had the next match. It was a 2-on-1 handicap match. Jazzy Gabbard with Ginny versus Danny Luna and Mercedes Blaze. I believe Danny Luna and Mercedes Blaze were in the Battle Royal in episode 48. And that's why they were here. And, it's the typical handicap match. Jazzy Gabbard just typically just destroys them. And she ends up winning with a face-first powerbomb. And then that was that. But I like this, this builds up Jazzy Gabbard as a monster who could just go in there and beat up anybody. So I like this. And I actually kind of would like them to really build up Jazzy Gabbard and maybe have a future NXT UK Women's title match and just go on a tear with that title. So I would like that. Then Cassius Ohno gets interviewed, and he talks about how he wants to bring pure British wrestling to NXT UK because he feels like NXT UK is really slacked off with it. And he talks about, the originals, the 5 that started NXT UK being British Strong Style, Wolfgang and Mark Andrews, and he talks shit to Mark Andrews the most, so that makes me think they're going to feud now, and says, that he's lost his British ways because the way he does the super kick is the American style way versus the British way, and he said that he's going to absolutely pummel and destroy Mark Andrews and teach him a thing or two about British wrestling. I really enjoy this, and like I've said before, I think Cassius Ohno actually is hidden gold here with this NXT UK gimmick, and I think he's really thriving in NXT UK versus NXT. I think because, he feels different, and because he's at a gimmick that, really works for him. So I actually like this. He's really improved significantly. Then we had the main event. It was an NXT UK Tag Team Championship match. NXT UK Tag Team Champions, the Grizzled Young Veterans versus Mustache Mountain. And this was a great main event. It wasn't quite the level, of the first match that they had at NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool, but it was still great. I really enjoyed it. you know, Tyler, Tyler Bate and James Drake start off the match, and they put on a wrestling clinic, and they get the heat, on Tyler Bate. Like they try, James Drake teases like he's gonna take a cheap shot, and Tyler Bate goes for a drop kick, but he moves out of the way on the apron, and they dominate him for a bit. But then, Trent Seven gets tagged in, and he goes off on Zach Gibson. He goes for that chop into the DDT, but Zach Gibson sees it coming. Then Zach Gibson hits a wicked discus chop, but then eventually they get the heat on Trent Seven, and they really work him over for a while. And then eventually Trent Seven hits the hits a wicked clothesline, and then Tyler Bate gets the hot tag. He starts going off on the Grizzled Young Veterans. He has a dive on the outside, an airplane spin. I really like that spot, and then eventually, Tyler Bate gets on Trent Seven's shoulders, and they do the shooting star press off his shoulders, but they don't get the win. And then Grizzled Young Veterans attack, Trent Seven. Zach Gibson hits the lawn blower, and Trent Seven kicks out of it. And then they hit a super kick neckbreaker combination on Tyler Bate, and they actually hit like a assisted guillotine leg drop right onto Trent Seven and nearly get the win off of that. Then Trent Seven hits the 7-star lariat, and then Tyler Bate gets tagged back in. Mustache Mountain on the verge of winning. Trent Seven tags himself in, and Tyler Bate hits Bop and Bane, and Trent Seven hits the Burning Hammer to James Drake on the Zap Gibson, but he kicks out. And then Imperium runs out, and I shouldn't say this like he had just kicked out and the match was going to keep going, but I do like the fact that Mustache Mountain would on the verge of winning. That way it doesn't make Grizzled Young Veterans look completely weak. But Imperium run out, they attack Mustache Mountain, and it leads to a disqualification, so the match gets thrown out. And I really don't have an issue with this because there's no reason to do a clean finish here because, Mustache Mountain, if they're going to lose, why not have them lose on like a bigger stage? So I really don't have an issue with that. Plus, it furthers the feud between British Strong Style and Imperium, because Imperium cost Mustache Mountain the NXT UK Tag Team titles. So I actually thoroughly enjoyed this. But Imperium attack Mustache Mountain. Fabian Eichner hits a running knees into the steps right onto Tyler Bate. And, Wolf and Eichner are putting the boots to Trent Seven. Alexander Wolf hits a pump kick right onto Trent Seven, and they handcuff Trent Seven, and Walter just beats the crap out of Tyler Bate. He throws him into the guardrail, and he hits 2 apron power bombs right onto Tyler Bate, and that wasn't enough. Then he power bombs Tyler Bate right into the steel post, and basically Tyler Bate's done at that point. Imperium stands tall. I really like too how the commentators, who by the way were the same commentators that have been doing the Download Festival, Vic Joseph and in English, were quiet after this. They didn't say anything because that really put the segment over. And the fact that Trent Seven had to watch his friend Tyler Bate get taken out. And this segment sets up 2 matches. You can have a UK title match between Trent Seven and Walter, or you can have a UK title match between Tyler Bate and Walter, which I would be fine with seeing both of them. I would be just fine with that. Or you can insert Eichner and Bartel into the tag title picture and do a triple threat tag team title match between Grizzled Young Veterans and Mustache Mountain. Maybe you can have Grizzled Young Veterans be upset with Imperium because they took away their opportunity to retain the tag team titles and prove that they really are the best tag team in the world. You could do stuff like that. So I really like this. Afterwards too, like Tyler Bate's being helped out, and I don't think we're gonna see Tyler Bate. I'm not saying we're not gonna see him like for a long time, but I don't think we're gonna see him for a little while. I really think they should sell this, have him not be on the shows for the rest of the download festivals, and maybe have him come back not right at the next tape-ins, but like episode 3 or 4 into the tape-ins. Have him be out for a while. Really sell this injury because he really did a good job selling it. So that was NXT UK for episode 50. I thought it was a hell of an episode. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to give it an A minus. I thought it was fantastic. Um, I really enjoyed about everything that was on it. I enjoyed Alexander Wolf's return. I enjoyed Rhea Ripley versus Piper Niven. I enjoyed the further in the feud between Kenny Williams and Noam Dar. The Cassius Ohno interview, and setting up the Mark Andrews feud. Them continuing to build the 6-man tag team match. And the main event I thought was awesome, and that's really what makes it an A minus. I might actually change, but I'm gonna go A. I think it's an A show. It's not quite a perfect show, but I think it's an A show. I thought it was awesome. And that's my review of NXT UK. And I mean, at this time, I'll be right back to do my review for NXT for the same date. So I'll be right back.
Okay, so now on to NXT for July 3rd, 2019. Before the show started, we had a couple of WWE.com exclusive interviews. First from Cameron Grimes. And Cameron Grimes says that he's here in the tournament to break out. And he said, that he's going to do whatever it takes to get there. And he's going to use that to win the tournament. And then we had an interview from Isaiah Swerve Scott. And Isaiah Swerve Scott says that what he has in the tournament that nobody else has is confidence. And it's going to take him to win the tournament. And he says that he feels that in his entrance, and he also says, that he's going to win the Breakout Star tournament. Then we had the show itself. We had the same people on commentary for the show. We had Mia Yim versus Aaliyah with Vanessa Bourne ringside. I thought this match was decent. Mia Yim gets the advantage throughout the beginning portions of this matchup. But then eventually, when she goes for a running cannonball in the corner, Vanessa Bourne pulls Aaliyah out of the ring, and she ends up crashing into the turnbuckle, and then Aaliyah targets the leg of Mia Yim, but eventually Mia Yim goes for the tarantula in the corner, and she ends up hitting it, but then when she has to let go, Aaliyah takes her head off with a, big kick, and then eventually Mia Yim mounts a comeback. She hits a suicide dive through the ropes, taking out both people, and then she hits a fall-away slam into the protect your neck, and gets the win. And afterwards, just for some collateral damage, she throws Vanessa Bourne into the steel steps, and then she goes over to the commentary area, and she challenges Shayna Baszler, saying that she wants the NXT Women's Championship, and she wants to beat Shayna Baszler's ass, because she feels like, that she's on a roll. I like this, though. It was a nice way to build up Mia Yim, and I thought the match was decent. And then William Regal gets interviewed, and he's talking about the attack that, Io Shirai did on Candice LeRae the previous episode. And then the Forgotten Sons walk in, and they're upset that they were screwed out of the NXT Tag Team Championships. They want another opportunity. And William Regal says that the way he sees it, you got yourself disqualified last week, so you guys pretty much are down to the bottom of the barrel. And the Forgotten Sons said that they don't walk away. And then Jackson Riker says that we won't forget this. And then Kathy Kelly, who was doing the interview, asks William Regal if he's thought about the future of the NXT Tag Team Championships. And he makes the match for the next episode. It's going to be the Street Profits defending the NXT Tag Team Championships against Orny Lorcan and Danny Burch. I'm actually looking forward to that match. I think that match could be a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's a different type of matchup, and I'm really excited about it. Then we had Adam Cole's Bay Championship Celebration Tour Week 2. It just picks up right where it left off, back at Gargano's pizza place. And he goes in there, and we see Johnny Gargano's father. And, he mocks him, tells him to go get his pizzas, saying that you have a lot of hungry wrestlers. And he pulls out a picture of himself, and that he wrote a message on it, if he's autographed it, and puts it on the Wall of Fame with all of Johnny Gargano's stuff. And he thanks him, and he tells him to keep the change, and he says that he really likes the Wall of Fame. And when Johnny Gargano's dad sees that, it's Adam Cole on it, he takes it off. And then he goes to that school that Johnny Gargano trained at, where he visited, when he did the NXT title tour, and he basically buries everybody there, saying that no matter what they do, they're never going to be the NXT champion. He buries Johnny Gargano, saying that, he got lucky and Johnny Gargano's just living, uh, you know, just letting you guys into false hope, and said that you guys are never going to be champion. And he said that it was mean for Gargano to let you guys hold the title because it was teasing you. I actually liked this a lot. I thought it was awesome stuff by Adam Cole, and I really enjoyed it. It was a nice way to feature Adam Cole without featuring him actually on the show, so I liked it. Then next, we had Kushida versus Jeff Parker. Basically, Kushida just dissects the left arm of Jeff Parker. He really works on it, doing kick to the arm, arm bows and things like that. But eventually, he gets the Sakura lock, and Jeff Parker taps out, and Kushida wins. I like that it wasn't like, the hoverboard lock that he actually won the match with. It was actually something different. And I believe Kushida, too, had new theme music for this match. So I like this a lot. And I really like how they're building up Kushida. I really hope he has a match at TakeOver, but I don't know who he's facing, so I have to wait and see. Then Tyler Breeze gets interviewed, and he talks about how since he's been back in NXT, everybody, especially Undisputed Era, has been talking about how they built NXT. But Tyler Breeze says that he's the original of NXT, and without him, NXT wouldn't have gotten as big as it was, and he paved the way for everyone else to really, be able to make the name for themselves here. And he says that tonight he's going to prove that on NX Breeze when he beats Roderick Strong. I like this. I thought it was a good promo. What was weird about this, though, is they advertised the match in the previous episode, and they tried to make it seem like that Tyler Breeze and Roderick Strong have never faced off, but they did face off. They faced off at Worlds Collide with Tyler Breeze won, so I don't really get that at all. Then we had another vignette for Killian Dane, and it's basically the same thing, except this time he says that he grew up with... he says that people wonder why I do the things that I do, and he says that he grew up with nothing growing up, but then he had everything. But now that I've lost everything, I'm just going to do whatever I want. And I kind of like it because, he was originally on the main roster, and I thought that was kind of a nice reference for that, and now he's just back down to NXT. Because when he went to the main roster, he lost, his sanity and everything, so I really enjoyed that. So I like this a lot. Then we had an NXT Breakout Star Tournament first round match. Isaiah Swerve Scott versus Cameron Grimes. They do little video promos kind of talking about the same thing. Cameron Grimes, talks about how he's going to be a star in NXT. And I really like this match. I like how they kind of started feeling each other out in the beginning. And Cameron Grimes hits a wicked kick right to the chin of Scott. And he dominates him for a while, hits a wicked clothesline on him. But then eventually... Isaiah Swerve Scott starts to mount a comeback. He hits a wicked big boot right to the head. Grimes tries to throw him outside the ring, but he does a front flip and lands on his feet. And Isaiah Swerve Scott hits a backflip dive on the outside, which was cool. A wicked super kick. A wicked, sunset flip roll up. But then eventually Cameron Grimes hits a wicked power slam into a double stomp for the win. But this match I thought, was really good. They even did a superplex spot in this match. And I thought this match was really good, and I'm really enjoying the tournament so far. So now Cameron Grimes advances, which I was kind of surprised about. I figured, Isaiah Swerve Scott would have gotten the win, but I'm actually really fine, with Cameron Grimes winning. So yeah, I enjoyed this match. I thought it was really good. Then we had Bianca Belair versus Sanika. Bianca Belair just absolutely destroys this girl. She, is talking trash to her. She's kind of face palming her, and then eventually Sanika takes a shot, and then Bianca Belair takes a shot, and she absolutely destroys her. She hits 3 power bombs on her, and then the KOD for the win, and that was pretty much that. I thought it was a nice way to build up Bianca Belair after coming off that big loss with, Mia Yim, so I liked it. And then Matt Riddle does a promo, and he basically is showing a variety of ways that he wrestles, and said that he's going to use these ways, to win matches and championships in NXT, pretty much. It was hard to hear this because I had my AC going and he had his theme music playing, so you couldn't really hear it as well, but I still thought it was good. And I kind of liked, too, how he kind of referenced how he was taking shot at Attitude Era wrestlers, so I liked that. And then we had the main event. It was Tyler Breeze versus Roderick Strong. I thought this was a really good main event. I thought this match was a little bit better the match they had at Worlds Collide because they were actually able to kind of have more of a match, and I thought it was in front of a better crowd. But yeah, Tyler Breeze and Roderick Strong start by chain wrestling each other. Eventually, Tyler Breeze hits a drop kick, knocking Roderick Strong right on the apron, and then Roderick Strong tries to trip Tyler Breeze on the apron. And then he hits a drop kick through the ropes, but he misses, and Tyler Breeze bounces his head off the ring apron and destroys him, throws him off the steps, and then Roderick Strong catches Tyler Breeze and hits like a backbreaker under the steps, and then a back suplex onto the guardrail. And he really targets the back of Tyler Breeze, really goes to work right on it. But then eventually Tyler Breeze starts to mount a comeback, and he gets on a roll, and I really, enjoyed that. He hits a wicked forearm into the corner. I forgot to mention, too, in the Cameron Grimes, Isaiah Swerve Scott match, Cameron Grimes hit a super forearm. I wanted to mention that real quick. But then anyhow, back to the Tyler Breeze Roderick Strong match. Yeah, Tyler Breeze starts to mount a comeback. Roderick Strong hits a wicked, backbreaker. Tyler Breeze hits a really cool neck breaker. But then eventually Tyler Breeze goes to go off the top rope. But the Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly run out, and Tyler Breeze runs over, takes out Bobby Fish with a supermodel kick, and then Roderick Strong hits End of Heartache on Tyler Breeze for the win, and afterwards, Fish, O'Reilly, and Strong celebrate, and then that was the end of the show. I actually thought it made sense for Roderick Strong to get the win because they want to build up Undisputed Era. That way they could go after every title. And there's no reason for Tyler Breeze to get the win here. I was fine with it at Worlds Collide because, that was at the point before I knew Tyler Breeze was going to come down to NXT, and he really wasn't winning anything, so I wanted him to get something. Here, Tyler Breeze doesn't benefit. I think Roderick Strong benefits more. This doesn't hurt Tyler Breeze at all because he's a veteran in NXT. He's actually there to elevate the news talent, so I actually like that a lot. And yeah, I really enjoyed the match. I thought it was really good. And then, Cameron Grimes savors his victory. He basically gloats about the fact that he's going to win the tournament. And then Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch in an interview talking about the NXT Tag Team Championship match. And they're grateful that the Street Profits gave them the opportunity. And they say that they could have done it the easy way and just hit him with the titles. But they want to do things the right way. And they want to prove that they have respect for the Street Profits. And that pretty much was NXT for July 3rd, 2019. I thought it was a great show. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed Tyler Breeze versus Roderick Strong. I enjoyed the NXT Breakout Star Tournament first round match. I enjoyed Mia Yim versus Aaliyah. I thought that was decent. I enjoyed the squash matches, how they built up Kushida and Bianca Belair. And I enjoyed Adam Cole's Bay celebration. And I enjoyed some of the vignettes and stuff on this show. So I thought this was a great show. I'm going to give it a B+. I don't think it was quite in the A category, but it was fairly close. But I'm going to give it a B+. I thought it was a great show. And that's pretty much it for the NXT review. Now I'm going to review NXT UK, episode 51. Okay, so now on to NXT UK, episode 51, that aired on July 10th, 2019. Same people on commentary for this show. Started out with Ilya Dragunov versus Ashton Smith, and I actually enjoyed this match. I enjoy Ilya Dragunov. And it's been a while since we've seen Ashton Smith. I think this is the first match he's had this year. So that's kind of cool. I actually like Ashton Smith, and I kind of wish they do something with him. But, there's so many talented people, I guess, not everyone can get pushed. But, I just think that Whoop thing gets over really big. I don't know if it's because, of Marty Scroll and things like that, but I like Ashton Smith. But yeah, they have a match, and Ilya Dragunov, just beats the crap out of Ashton Smith in the beginning portion of this matchup until eventually Ashton Smith points his knee, and he goes after it, and he really picks apart the injured knee of Ilya Dragunov. But Ilya Dragunov, even though he gets some of the offense done on him, sometimes he's just so out of control and so crazy that he's, gouging the face of Ashton Smith. And then Ilya Dragunov mounts a comeback. He, really goes off on Ashton Smith. Ashton Smith hits a fisherman's buster onto, or a fisherman's brain buster, I should say, onto Ilya Dragunov, but Ilya Dragunov kicks out. Then Ilya Dragunov hits a combustion clothesline and then hits the, I believe it's called the Moscow Slaughter, which I don't think that's the name of it at all, but it's like basically that one hip attack that he hits out of the corner. And he wins, which makes sense because obviously Ashton Smith hasn't been on TV in months. He's not just gonna come back and win. And Ilya Dragunov is new. You shouldn't have him lose right now. You should continue to build him up. And I really like him. So yeah, Ilya Dragunov wins, and he's just awesome. So I was happy about that. Then Xia Brookside gets interviewed, and she talks about how it was disappointing for her to not win the Battle Royal to become the #1 contender to the NXT UK Women's Championship. But she says that she has bigger things on her plate right now. She has to deal with Ginny and Jazzy Gabbard, and she's happy that on the next episode of NXT UK, she's finally going to get a one-on-one opportunity to take down Ginny. And she says that, Ginny cowards and hides from people, and she's not going to be able to hide next week. It was a fine promo. Xia Brookside's character, is kind of like, the happy-go-lucky carefree, and I think that character kind of makes her mic skills not the best because she has to play off that character. Like, I think if she had her character, she could have a little bit more of an edge. It would help her. I don't mean the wrestler edge, but you know what I mean. Then we had the Nina Samuel show, and basically she just went around the Download Festival, and we saw like big Nina Samuel fans. She asked like a question, and he said it was a big Nina Samuel, like who his favorite was in NXT UK, and he said Nina Samuels. We see her like signing autographs, but we see that she really doesn't want to be there because she has to drag through the mud. But I enjoyed this. I actually like Nina Samuels' gimmick, so I enjoyed this. Then we had Candy Floss versus Tony Storm, and I actually thought this match was pretty good. I enjoyed it. They both chain wrestle each other. Candy Floss does that gimmick where where wrestlers will jump over each other. And she lays down and waves, and Tony Storm does the same thing. And eventually Candy Floss isn't playing around. She just tries to get the win with a roll up, but it doesn't work. And then Tony Storm hits a wicked punch, and that doesn't get the win. And then Tony Storm hits a clothesline into the Storm Zero for the win. But they had like a nice little scrap, and they teased that moment in this match that Candy Floss could have won this match. But I still, thoroughly enjoyed the match. I thought it was pretty good. And afterwards, Kaylee Ray comes out and lays out Candy Floss with the form and just is attacking her to kind of send a message to Tony Storm. And Tony Storm runs up to save Candy Floss, but Kaylee Ray escapes, and then she checks on Candy Floss. And that was that. I thought this was a nice little way to build up to the future NXT UK title match between Kaylee Ray and Tony Storm. So I enjoyed it. Then we had another Ligero video package. This was kind of weird because they had a video package for him like a while back, I think. After the British Strong Style Imperium 6-man tag, it was on that episode, and then we didn't see, he came back and just wrestled again, and then they just had the video packages again. It was kind of weird, considering the fact that, we've seen him wrestle and stuff, so maybe they just forgot to add the other one. I don't know, but it was weird. But he talks about, how he's had a lot of roadblocks in his life, and he's tried to use it towards the win. And that typically when he's on NXT UK, he's one of the most memorable parts of the show when he has a match, which is somewhat true. And he says, though, that, he continuously, though, can't, get his win-loss record on track. He'll have, really big wins, but then the losses are such big losses that he's just kind of back to square one. So he said that there's got to be something that he has to do to kind of really get him to the next level. And I kind of like how a wrestler kind of has a storyline like that, where he's not on a losing streak, but he's kind of frustrated that he's, not getting, that his win-loss record isn't the best, and he knows he could do better, and he knows he could do something to make it better. So I like that dynamic to it, so I enjoy that. I actually like Ligero. He's got a very likable, story about him, and I think they could push Ligero. The thing is, they need to put in a mid-card title, because I don't really see him being like the NXT UK champion on the show. Just because there's so much talent in the top that I don't really see him being there. I could see him contending for it, but not like being the champion. So I kind of think this is where a mid-card title would, favor Ligero, because I think he could be a very good mid-card champion in NXT UK. But I feel like that's because I do think we are going to get a mid-card title in NXT UK. It's just a matter of when. Then Trent Seven comes out to do his promo, and he talks about how for the first time in a long time since NXT UK was launched, he's standing in the ring by himself, which is true. Like, he's basically kind of, been with either Tyler Bate or Pete Dunne. So I kind of like that. I mean, the only time he was really him by himself was when he, was in the first match in the WWE United Kingdom Championship tournament in 2017. And he talks about, how Pete Dunne has got other things going on, and Tyler Bate, is hospitalized. And he says that he's still standing. And he says that British Strong Style started NXT UK, and Imperium claims that this man is sacred, but that's just an excuse so that way they can break all the rules. And he said he's still standing, and Imperium forced him to watch his best friend get taken out. So he said that he's coming for Walter, and he doesn't care about the title. All he wants is a fight. And that was it. This was actually a really good promo by Trent Seven, and it's kind of surprising how intense he was, because I've never heard him really cut a promo. Because typically, if he cuts a promo, he's with Tyler Bate, and they're kind of not really comedy, but they're kind of in more of a chill mood. But here he's intense. And it was actually a very good promo, and I'm actually stoked to see a match between Trent Seven and Walter. I don't know. I'm guessing this is going to be the title match at NXT UK Takeover Coda, which I would be fine with, and then Walter can beat Trent Seven and finally kind of end the era of British Strong Style, because it feels like that's kind of what's happening. British Strong Style's era has ended in NXT UK. I think Pete Dunne's time is up in NXT UK. I don't know if he's going to the main roster or what, but it feels like that with his reign's over, and it feels like maybe the Mustache Mountain are going to go to NXT, contend for the tag titles. Maybe I don't want to go to the main roster. That's too soon for them to go. They still haven't done everything in NXT, but I could, you know what I mean, like NXT and NXT UK. But I'm very interested in this, and I can't wait to see what happens. But yeah, Walter beating Trent Seven would kind of be the end of the British Strong Style era of NXT UK. And then Mark Andrews does a promo, and he talks about, Cassius Ohno, and he talks about, how he had a lot of heroes that he watched growing up, and Cassius Ohno was one of them, but he's just recently talking crap about him, about his style of wrestling. So he wants Cassius Ohno to do something about it, so the match gets made official for the main event of the next episode of NXT UK, which I'm actually interested in that match. I think that match will be very good, because Cassius Ohno with his gimmick very good, and I think Mark Andrews is very good, so I'm interested in that. Then we had the main event. It was the Hunt and Dave Master versus Gallus. I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was really good. Everyone just gets into a fight right away. The Hunt and Dave Master fight off Gallus, and the Hunt and Dave Mastiff dominate the matchup early, but then eventually Gallus gets the heat on Primate for a long time, and then eventually Wild Boar gets the hot tag, and he goes off on Mark Coffey. He hits a senton right across the back, a cannonball in the corner right across the back, but then eventually Gallus gets the upper hand on him, and they did an impressive spot where Joe Coffey hit a wicked power slam onto Wild Boar. I thought that was cool. But then eventually Dave Mastiff gets the hot tag, and he goes off on Joe Coffey, and he hits a reverse explosive suplex on him, but Joe Coffey kicks out. And then Joe Coffey takes out Dave Mastiff with a power slam. The Coffey brothers are going to take him out, but Dave Mastiff fights them off. He hits an explosive suplex onto Joe Coffey, into Mark Coffey, and he goes for the void on the Coffey brothers, but Joe Coffey's able to move out of the way, but Mark Coffey ends up getting the void And since Joe Coffey's legal, you can't pin him. So then the Hunt hit double suicide dives onto Wolfgang and Joe Coffey, and uh, Dave Mastiff hits a wicked slam. He tags in Wild Boar, and they Hunt are gonna go for the double dive and headbutt, but Wolfgang takes out Wild Boar, and Primate hits the dive and headbutt onto Joe Coffey. He tries to go for the win, but the referee tells him he's not legal, so he can't win the match. So I believe it was Mark Coffey takes out Primate, and Wolfgang throws Wild Bull in the ring. Joe Coffey hits the lift and uppercut, and then he hits the Awa Best for the bells onto Wild Bull for the win, and Gallus wins. I actually thought that, Dave Mastiff and the Hunt would win, just because I don't know why. I just went out on a limb and they won. But I'm fine with Gallus winning, keeps them as a strong faction, and it kind of continues the feud, between the Hunt and Dave Mastiff. Because I think at NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff, we're going to get Joe Coffey versus Dave Mastiff. I predicted that way back when, all the way back in June. So I think it makes sense for them to do the match there. And I actually am interested in that match. And that match is a rematch from the tournament in 2018 because I believe Joe Coffey eliminated Dave Mastiff from the tournament. So they can do that story. But I don't think they will since, they're trying to say that, Dave Mastiff's undefeated. So it wouldn't really make sense. But still. This episode of NXT UK I thought was great. I really enjoyed it. I thought, it was a nice, solid episode. I enjoyed Trent Seven's promo and the continued further feud between British Strong Style and, Imperium. I enjoyed the setup to Mark Andrews versus Cassius Ohno. I enjoyed the main event. I enjoyed, Legaro's video package. And, I enjoyed Candy Floss versus Tony Storm and Ilya Dragunov versus Ashton Smith. I thought it was a great episode. I'll give it a B+. This was definitely one of the lesser episodes. It's kind of a filler episode. If you missed it, you really don't need to see it. So maybe thinking about it some more, maybe I'll just give it a B. I thought it was really good. Because, it is a filler episode, and I can't give a filler episode of something a B+. That's kind of weird. So I'll give it a B. I thought it was really good. And yeah, I really, enjoyed it. So, definitely check out that Trent 7 promo. That was really good. But yeah, now I'm going to review NXT for July 10th, 2019.
Okay, so now on to WWE NXT for July 10th, 2019. Before the show actually started, we had a WWE.com exclusive video where Jordan Miles got interviewed, and he talked about how the NXT Breakout Tournament is a huge opportunity for him, probably the hugest that he's ever had in his career. And he talks about how, he's had a lot of memorable matches, but people are going to really remember this match. And he tells Bo to bring everything because he's going to be doing that. And I actually thought it was a really good promo. I think he's awesome on the mic, so I liked it. Then we had the actual show itself. We had the same people on commentary for this show. And Io Shirai comes out to do a promo. This was her first promo since she turned heel. And she has a new entrance now. Her theme music's a little generic. I hope they change that. But, I don't really have an issue with it, I guess, because she's supposed to be a heel. You're not supposed to really like anything about her. So there's that. And she's wearing all black now. And, she has nice lighting effects, it flashes and stuff. I think it's really cool. I do like the entrance itself, just the music needs to be different. And she gets on the mic and says, "I don't need friends, and I don't need any of you." And then that was it. That's all she said. I actually like this. It's just something nice and simple. And, I think it works. So it's just not really overcomplicating it. I'm fine with that as an explanation. So, yeah, I was cool with that. I liked it. It was cool. It was just something nice and simple. You don't need to overcomplicate everything. So, I liked it. Then, backstage, the Velveteen Dream has a Q&A session, and someone asked him a question who do you see possibly being in line for a future NXT North American title match, and he doesn't like the question. He said he doesn't approve of that, so he moves on. Then Kathy Kelly asks a question, asks about Roderick Strong, since, he pinned him the last time he had a match on the June 19th edition of NXT, and he says that Roderick Strong got lucky, and he says that that's all it's gonna take, and he won't get as lucky next time. So I like this. It was a nice way for Velveteen Dream to cut a promo, and it was something different. Then we had Damian Priest versus Blanco Loco. Damian Priest just absolutely destroys this guy. I really like his entrance, how it says "Live Forever," and then he shoots the bow and arrow, and it has his name come up in fire logo. I think it's cool. And Damian Priest hits the Cyclone Kick into the Rolling Cutter for the win, and that was pretty much the match. But he destroyed this dude, and I really like Damian Priest. He just has that presence about him that just screams world champion, so I really liked it. Then we have another Killian Dane vignette, and he talks about how when certain tragedies happen, people will talk about it for a while and then they'll move on. And they said they could, you won't really know the full story for 9, 10, 20 years. And he tells his full story about how him and his family, house was burnt down, was burning while they were in it. And he talks about the riots that took place and how he lost his hearing in his left ear because a car exploded, and how every day was the marshal was there to stop riots, how he's the only one in his high school graduating class, at least male, that's alive. And then he says that everyone wonders why I do these things, and maybe if I tell you my story, you will know. And then that was it. I really like these. They're awesome. It just shows how crazy he is, and I like the intensity that he has, and I thoroughly enjoy them. I think they're awesome. Then next we had an NXT Breakout Tournament first round match. Boa versus Jordan Miles. Boa does a little video promo, and he says that he's from China and he wants to represent China. He talks about how he has a Muay Thai Jiu-Jitsu Jiu-Jitsu champion, and he says he wants to win this tournament for China. Jordan Miles talks about how he's been wrestling for 13 years, and he says that he's going to be damned if anyone's going to beat him in the tournament. And they have the match, and I thought it was a fairly enjoyable match. Jordan Miles and Boa do some nice chain wrestling with each other, and then Jordan Miles hits a sick drop kick, and he does, he really shows his personality, which I really like about this match. It was very entertaining because of Jordan Miles. He's just very charismatic, has that great it factor where he does the football throw pose, and then Boa hits a wicked high kick right to the back of the head, and he dominates Jordan Miles for a while. He hits a stand-in head triangle, and he hits a wicked kick right to the ribs, but then eventually Jordan Miles starts to mount a comeback. He hits a wicked run and drop kick into a shooting star press for the win, and Jordan Miles wins. I wanted Jordan Miles to win, and I'm glad he did win, and now he's going to face Cameron Grimes in the next round, and I'm actually really excited about that match because I think they're capable of matching together. I believe they've wrestled before. They might have wrestled in Impact, but I still enjoyed this match, and I'm still looking forward to it. Then next, Shayna Baszler gets interviewed, and she talks about Mia Yim laying out the challenge. I believe it was the previous episode, and Shayna Baszler says that Mia Yim has a cute story, but that's what everybody in sports have. They have a cute story, which is kind of true. But the results are going to stay the same no matter what the story is. You said that when you step to me, you're either going to tap, nap, or snap. And I actually like that line. I actually kind of hope she uses that as a catchphrase. So it looks like they're setting up Shayna Baszler versus Mia Yim, which, I'm happy about. I actually think that's going to be a very good match, so I'm actually excited about that. Then we had a video package for Keith Lee, and he talks about how it's been a year since he's been signed, and it shows like video packages and how he's wrestled all different types of athletes, but the year hasn't gone exactly the way he wanted it to, because he wasn't really picked to be the guy. But he's going to make himself the guy because he's limitless. And he said that the first year didn't go the way he wanted it to, but he's going to be more driven and more motivated to make year 2 very successful and become the guy. I actually really enjoyed this promo, and I really like Keith Lee on the mic. He's very entertaining. He's definitely got that it factor, and I really hope they do put the NXT title on him because he's awesome. Then William Regal's backstage and he makes an announcement. He announces that superstars thus far from NXT UK and 205 Live have come to face Kushida, and he announces that on the next episode, SmackDown Live's Apollo Crews will be on to face Kushida, and that was that. I'm actually excited about this. I think Kushida and Apollo Crews can have an awesome match together, and I'm glad for a week Apollo Crews can actually be featured like a big deal, because he hasn't been featured that way at all on the main roster, so I enjoyed this. Then we had the main event. It was the NXT Tag Team Championship match. NXT Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits versus Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. This was a very enjoyable match. I thought it was really good. The Street Profits get the advantage throughout the beginning portions of the matchup. They hit, wicked drop kicks and such on the outside, and Lorcan and Burch have to take a breather. Then Lorcan and Burch get the advantage. Danny Burch hits a missile drop kick, and then he gets a crossface in onto Angelo Dawkins. They dominate Dawkins for a long ass time, and then Montez Ford gets the hot tag. He hits a standing moonsault, I believe, onto Danny Burch, and then the pinfall gets broken up, and Angelo Dawkins hits and actually the Street Profits hit a assisted slice bread number 2, which I thought was cool because that was something they've never done before. But Danny Burch kicks out of it, and then Danny Burch hits a German suplex onto Montez Ford, and then he inadvertently ends up tagging and German suplex him into the corner so Angelo Dawkins can tag himself in. Angelo Dawkins hits a run-in shoulder tackle, and then Oney Lorcan hits a run-in uppercut, and then Danny Burch hits another missile drop kick, and then what am I missing? Oh, and then Dawkins hits a spear onto Danny Burch. Everybody's laid out. Then the match continues. Montez Ford hits a flip dive right on the outside onto Oney Lorcan, and then Angelo Dawkins hits the pop-up spine buster into the frog splash combination for the win, and Street Profits retain the NXT Tag Team titles, which I was kind of surprised about, because the Street Profits have been on the main roster lately, and I figured they would lose the titles because I knew they would call up to the main roster around the time that these tapings were shown. But I'm glad that they retained the titles because there's really no reason to take the titles off them. They just won them. Then afterwards, Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly come out and they have a stare down with them, and they're probably going to set this match up for a future NXT Tag Team title match, maybe NXT TakeOver Toronto 2, or just maybe on a random episode of NXT. Because where I'm at in NXT, there's still kind of a little bit of ways to go before NXT TakeOver Toronto 2, so there's that. But yeah, that was NXT. I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was great. You had a lot of really good matches on it. I really enjoyed the NXT Tag Team title match. I enjoyed the Breakout Tournament match. And I enjoyed something else on this show. Wow, there wasn't a lot of wrestling now that you think about it. It was only 2 matches. I feel like I missed a match. I enjoyed, Damian Priest's squash match. And I enjoy how they're, setting up future stuff on the show. I enjoy, the Velveteen Dream Q&A segment. I enjoy Killian Dane's vignette of him coming in. Keith Lee's video package. William Regal's announcement. The further in of Shayna Baszler and Mia Yim's feud. And I also enjoyed, Io Shirai's like first promo since being a heel. So I thought this episode was great. I'm gonna give it a B plus. I thought it was great, and that's pretty much it for this review. And I'm gonna come back to review NXT UK episode 52, and the next two episodes of NXT UK and NXT, not the next two, but the next batch of them, will be the last one in this video, and then I'm gonna end it because I haven't watched 205 Live from I believe it was like July 23rd. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna upload this to the Wrestling Fortune 44 channel when I get the opportunity, and then the rest of the NXT coverage is and everything like that is gonna be taking place on the CM Brothers channel, and I will announce it again at the end of the video in case people so people don't forget. So yeah, I'm gonna watch and review NXT UK episode 52 now.
Alright, so now on to NXT UK for episode 52, and this aired on July 17th, 2019. And it kicked right off with Sid Scala backstage, and he basically just ran through what was going to be on the show, the match card and promos and everything. And it wasn't needed, but I thought it was fine, but it was just kind of random. Then we had the first match on the show. It was Fabian Aichner and Marcel Bartel versus Saxon Huxley and Tyson T-Bone. And I loved every second of this match. I think I loved it because I hate Tyson T-Bone. I think he's trash. And Saxon Huxley, I don't really have anything against him or anything. It's just, just kind of there to me right now. But, yeah, I just love seeing this team get absolutely destroyed. One thing I'm disappointed about is they're not using Fabian Eichner's theme song anymore, which is kind of disappointing because I actually liked it. They're using Walter's, but, I like Walter's theme song a lot, but, yeah, I liked it. But, yeah, Fabian Eichner and Marcel Bartel basically just destroy these guys, and, they do I really like that, run and drop kick, while the guy's trapped in the ropes, Inseguri combination that they hit. I think that's cool. And, Saxon Huxley tries to make a hot tag, but Fabian Aichner attacks Tyson T-Bone from behind, throws him into the steps, hits the double knees into the steps, and then Saxon Huxley does the best he can to fight them off, but he doesn't realize that Fabian Aichner is really the one that's legal, and he clubs Saxon Huxley from behind and hits the Doomsday Device for the win, and then that was basically the match, and I thought it was a nice way to really make, Aichner and Bartel look strong. And I really enjoy how they're making Imperium look like a really strong faction right now, where they just come out and kick everybody's ass. I enjoy that. I thought it was good. I think it's good. Then Travis Banks gets interviewed, and he talks about how he failed to win the WWE United Kingdom Championship, so I guess it's just back to the drawing board. Thought it was a fine promo. Then we had Xia Brookside versus Ginny with Jazzy Gabbard ringside, and basically the match was booked like this, where Xia Brookside, would get some the advantage, but anytime she got too much of an advantage, Jazzy Gabbard would interfere, and behind the referee's back, and eventually it led to her demise because Ginny ended up rolling her up for the win. The match was good, and I liked the way it was booked, with Jazzy Gabbard consistently interfering. So I thought it was nice. I'm assuming this isn't over, but I like this. Then Imperium's backstage, and they talk about how they've done exactly what they say they're going to do since they became a faction, and, Alexander Wolf, on behalf of Walter, accepts Trent Seven's challenge, so that way they can finally say that they completely destroyed British Swan style. So, I really like this. Promo segment, and they even say that they're going to dissect Trent Seven. Then Kenny Williams is backstage, and he said that he had a busy week, after, from cleaning the mud off his face. But he said he talked to NXT UK General Manager Johnny Saint, and on the next episode, it's going to be him versus Noam Dar. And he says that he wants Noam Dar to go to the trainer's room afterwards because he's going to break that win of his. Then we had the aftermath of the 6-man tag team match that aired in the main event of the last episode, and you just see Dave Mastiff standing tall, begging Gallus to come in and fight him, and then you see Gallus backstage, and they're upset that they're able to, put the Hunt on the leash, but they can't seem to tame Dave Mastiff. And Joe Coffey says that he's going to deal with Dave Mastiff one-on-one, and he's going to finally put him on a leash. I like this. I thought it was good. And I actually am excited to see Joe Coffey versus Dave Mastiff. Then Toni Storm comes out to cut a promo, and she's confused about the way that Kaylee Ray's been acting lately, because when she first moved to the UK, Kaylee Ray took her under her wing, and she was always been grateful for that. But now Kaylee Ray went from being the first person to help somebody out to being the first one to lay somebody out. And she just doesn't understand, and she wonders why she's trying to play these mind games with her when, to try to get her attention. When she doesn't have to do that, you can just have a NXT UK Women's Title match, and then Kaylee Ray comes out and says that Toni Storms always seems to be in a rush to do things, and she says that she's going to have the NXT UK Women's Title match right now. We think it's going to happen, but Kaylee Ray's like, nah, never mind, I don't want to have it tonight. So she said that she's going to make Toni Storm wait until August 31st at NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff, which I'm excited about. I think that will be an awesome match. And Kaylee Ray says that until then, she's going to make Toni Storm's life a living hell. But I really liked this segment. I thought it really built up nicely to the NXT UK Women's Title match, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I think that's where Toni Storm should lose the title, because I don't know who else she could wrestle. The only reason I could see her keeping the title is if she's just going to get destroyed by Jazzy Gabber, because that's the only other person I could see beating her, but she's basically beaten everyone that there is to beat in NXT UK. I would actually have Toni Storm lose and put her on NXT, because I think she can really be used in NXT to have, matches with Shayna Baszler, Mia Yim, Io Shirai now since she's a heel, so I actually think that's what should happen. Then Sid Scala gets interviewed, and he talks about how he's excited for the NXT UK Women's Title match, and then the interviewer asks him, if, they're not going to wrestle, if Toni Storm and Kaylee Ray aren't going to wrestle prior to NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff. And Sid Scala says no. We said we had the first ever NXT UK Women's Battle Royal, so let's have the first ever NXT UK Women's Tag Team. Not Women's Tag Team match. Women's six woman tag team match. And he makes the match. It's going to be Toni Storm, Xia Brookside, and Piper Niven versus Kaylee Ray, Ginny, and Jazzy Gabbard. I actually think that match makes a lot of sense. You have Xia Brookside. He's feuding with both Ginny and Jazzy Gabbard. And I actually think they're going to do something where it's going to be, Piper Niven going up against, Jazzy Gabbard, who doesn't want to see them tangle at it. And then obviously got, Toni Storm and Kaylee Ray, who fight for the title. So I actually think this makes some sense. Then we had Cassius Ohno versus Mark Andrews in the main event. The match was pretty good. I thought it was a little disappointing. I thought the match would be a little bit better. But I still thought the match was pretty good. Cassius Ohno immediately just catches Mark Andrews in a dive, and he exposes the turnbuckle and drops him throat first onto it, and he just methodically picks apart Mark Andrews by going after the throat. And eventually Mark Andrews mounts a comeback. He hits a suicide dive eventually onto the floor, a springboard flip, and then he hits he goes for a moonsault, but Cassius Ohno catches him, but he reverses it into a DDT. Cassius Ohno hits a wicked, forearm right to the back of the head. Mark Andrews hits the Stun Dog Millionaire, and he goes for the, what's it called? Oh, I just said it earlier in the review. I forget, but the shooting star press. But Cassius Ohno catches him into a cravat plex, and then he hits the Cyclone Kick, and he could have gone for the win, but instead he decides to inflict more damage. He goes for the Power Slam, but Mark Andrews actually rolls up Cassius Ohno, gets the win, and Cassius Ohno wins the match. I actually don't really agree with this decision, which is weird because I really haven't been that big of a Cassius Ohno fan. Go walk through my channel. But I think Cassius Ohno should have won. I really was liking what they were doing with him, where they were building him up as, the guy that, really knows a lot about British wrestling, but yet keeps cheating to win the matches like he did to, various superstars. and eventually it leads to him like facing someone that really knows about British wrestling, and either him getting squashed or having a great match with him at NXT UK Takeover Cardiff. So I actually kind of wish Cassius Ohno kind of won to continue really building him up. But other than that, the match still was pretty good. Because I don't really know what they're going to do with Mark Andrews at this point. I don't see him going for the title anytime soon, and he's not really a legitimate opponent for Walter right now. And like I said, there's no mid-card title, so but maybe I should do that as a fantasy booking, because I keep talking about it. Maybe a mid-card title for NXT UK. That'd be nice. And then afterwards on WWE.com exclusive, Ginny and Jazzy Gabba do an interview talking about how they're going to go straight to the top, and that was basically the gist of it. But this was actually, I thought, a really good episode of. Let me look. Actually, no, I thought it was a good episode of NXT UK. It wasn't quite really good, but it was good. I enjoyed it. I liked the main event. I thought the main event was pretty good. I thought Zaya Brookside versus Jenny was good. I thought, I really liked Eichner and Botel squashing Saxon Huxley and Tyson T-Bone. But I enjoyed, the setup for Kenny Williams, Noam Dar, Trent Seven, Walter, which that's going to be on the next episode now too, and the 6-woman tag team match setup and the setup to the NXT UK women's title match. This was really a setup episode, so that's why I can't really say that it's like a great episode, but it's still a good episode if you want to watch some nice build up. So I'll give it a B-. I thought it was good. But yeah, that's it. Now I'm going to review NXT for the same date.
Alright, so now it's August 8th, 2019, and it's 2:09 a.m. Wow, it's really late, but I got one more to do, so I figured I'd just get it done. So now we have NXT for July 17th, 2019, starting with the WWE.com exclusives. We have an interview by Bronson Reed, and Bronson Reed talks about how he's worked his ass off to get to WWE for years, and he says that he's going to use that motivation to win the, breakout tournament. And then he says that he's heard, British strong style and Japanese strong style. Well, he's going to bring Australian strong style. And that was pretty much the promo. Thought it was actually a good promo. He's actually pretty good on the mic. Then we had the actual show itself. We had the same people on commentary for this show. We had Matt Riddle versus Arturo Rios. I don't think that's how you say that at all, but that's what I'm going to go with. And I thought this was, a nice UFC type of style fight. They did, a lot of takedowns and stuff on each other. I thought it was nice. And then eventually Matt Riddle hits a wicked running knee and just repeatedly beats the crap and lays right hands onto Wuaz, or however you say his last name. And he can't continue, so the referee just calls off the match. And Matt Riddle wins. He's celebrating afterwards. And who comes up from out of nowhere? None other than Killian Dane. Killian Dane attacks Matt Riddle from behind, beats the crap out of him. He throws him into the post. He clotheslines him. He gets senton after senton on him. He clotheslines him on the outside. He hits another senton on the floor. And then he hits a cannonball through the stage. It was absolutely awesome, and I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed the return of Killian Dane, and I'm actually excited to see a Matt Riddle Killian Dane match. I think it would be awesome. I don't know when they're going to do it, but it would be awesome. Probably at NXT TakeOver Toronto too, but I think it's awesome. Then the Street Profits cut a promo, and they talk about how they're happy to be on top of the NXT Tag Team title scene, but they have a couple of guys who still think that they're the NXT Tag Team Champions, that being Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. And they say that they think they're a joke, but were we really such a joke because you couldn't beat us at NXT TakeOver 25, and you couldn't beat us straight up 2-on-2. So why don't you find the time and the place, and we'll prove why we're the champions, and that's undisputed. I thought this was a really good promo, and I really enjoyed it. Then over the weekend prior to this episode, We see that Mia Yim had attacked Marina Shafir. She attacked her outside her car and, beat the crap out of her and slammed the car door right in her face. And I like this because it actually makes Mia Yim look smart, knowing the fact that if she wants to face Shayna Baszler, she just doesn't have to face her. She has to face the other three of the four horsewomen. And it's smart to take out each and every single one of them before the match. So I actually think that's smart. Then we had the NXT Breakout Tournament first round match. Dexter Lumis versus Bronson Reed. I wanted to mention one thing I like about the, Breakout Tournament is in the little graphic when it says the superstar's name. It actually has the graphic of the tournament. I think that's pretty cool. So I just wanted to make sure, I mentioned that. But immediately Dexter Lumis was acting so creepy. The commentators were just absolutely creeped out by him. And they tried to play it off like the guys in the production truck were because they didn't know his thing. And they had Bronson Reed. It was just basically everything that he said, in the interview I just talked about, so I'm not going to repeat myself. And this match I actually thought was really good. They both really start going after each other. Dexter Lumis frames, does a frame hand gesture to Bronson Reed, which I thought was cool. And then, Bronson Reed gets the advantage, and he dominates the first half of the matchup. But then Dexter Lumis seizes control. He goes for a suicide dive, but Bronson Reed moves out of the way, and he ends up landing on his feet. And then Bronson Reed hits a high cross body on the outside. And then Dexter Lumis dominates the matchup for a bit. He really shows how creepy he is by twisting the ears of Bronson Reed and going after the eyes. Dexter Lumis hits a wicked clothesline. A wicked leg drop, or flip leg drop, but then Bronson Reed mounts a comeback, and then eventually Dexter Lumis goes for the leg drop from the top rope, but Bronson Reed moves out of the way and hits a wicked pump up slam and a splash for the win. And I thought it made sense for Bronson Reed to go over, but I really wanted Dexter Lumis just because I knew him more and the way his character was. And I know his character didn't work in Impact, obviously because of the storyline that he had. But I actually think it really can work in NXT. They really are playing it up like he's this creep, and I want to see what happens with it. But yeah, Bronson Reed advances. So now in the quarterfinals or the semifinals, it's which is the final four, it's gonna be Bronson Reed versus Cameron Grimes and Jordan Smiles versus Angel Garza. I'm really excited for those two matches. I think they'll be awesome. And then Tyler Breeze has a photo shoot, and Kathy Kelly interviews him and talks about how he really hasn't had much luck since he's come back to NXT. And Tyler Breeze says that I haven't had the best luck in NXT, but that's because I don't have as many friends as a lot of people do, and maybe that's what I need to do, or I just need to adjust. Then the Forgotten Sons come up, and they're upset about the fact that returning superstars are stealing their spotlight, and says that you haven't been in a while, so you need to know your place. And then Tyler Breeze makes a joke confusing Jackson Riker with Buddy Murphy. It was really funny because when he was in NXT, Wesley Blake was partnering with Buddy Murphy as Blake and Murphy, and I thought that was funny. And Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake hype up Jackson Riker, saying that he's this big badass. And Tyler Breeze said, it's nothing you've ever seen before. And Tyler Breeze says, I've seen everything, and walks away. I really like this though, and they're probably going to build to a future match between Tyler Breeze and Jackson Riker, which I'm all down for. So I like this. Then we had Kushida versus Apollo Crews. This match I thought was great. I thought it was the match of the night, or the best match of the show. They both start chain wrestling each other, and Apollo Crews hits a wicked dropkick right off the bat onto Kushida. He gets the upper hand early, then eventually Kushida plays cat and mouse, and he hits the handspring and Seguri. and Kushida dominates the match for a bit. He targets the left arm of Apollo Crews and really goes to work on it. Apollo Crews hits a wicked stalling suplex, and Insaguri a shooting star press, standing splash, but then eventually Kushida mounts a comeback and goes after the left arm by hitting a high kick to it, and then he puts him in that submission move that he used, the Sarakuro lock or whatever it's called, and Apollo Crews taps out. And I like how immediately right when he puts it on you, you're pretty much gonna tap out. But the match was great. It was really back and forth, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And yeah, Kushida wins, which makes sense because Apollo Crews isn't gonna be there long term. He's on the main roster, and I thought this really put over Kushida as this badass. Now he needs to wrestle someone from Raw, and I'll be happy. So I think that's awesome. And yeah, I really wish Apollo Crews would just go back to NXT anyways, because he really isn't doing much at all on the main roster. And I think him going back to NXT, and he got a huge pop when he came out. Like, people were into Apollo Crews, which was awesome. And afterwards, he even did an interview and he talked about like his experience being back in NXT. So I liked it. Then Keith Lee gets interviewed, and Kathy Kelly tells him how he's been signed to NXT for a year. And then Keith Lee says, I've been signed here for a year, but I really haven't done a whole lot in NXT. I haven't really had many opportunities. But yet he hears about this Damian Priest guy that everyone's talking about. So maybe I need to do something about it and put the attention back on myself. So now they just announced that, on the next episode of NXT, it's going to be Keith Lee versus Damian Priest, which I'm really excited about that match, so I can't wait to see that. Then we had the main event. It was an NXT Championship match. NXT Champion Adam Cole versus a mystery opponent. Before the match, Adam Cole does a promo talking about how, you're starting to see the changing of the guard, that Undisputed Era is going to start to take over. And then, he talks about how he's, been all over the world as champion, but he said he wanted to be a fighting champion, and he announces who his opponent's going to be, and it's going to be, oh crap, I forgot, Tatsumi Tako, I think his name is. It's the guy that Johnny Gargano let hold his title when he went to Cleveland the first time, and the guy that Adam Cole mocked last time. And the guy comes out, Tatsumi Tako, and Adam Cole says, "You don't have to worry because I don't have any of the members of the Undisputed Era with me." And Tako says, "Well, that's good to know because I didn't come alone." And Johnny Gargano comes out, and he just beats the crap out of Adam Cole. He kicks his ass, hits a super kick, beats him all over the arena, beats the shit out of him, throws him into the guardrail, hits a dive off the stage, puts him back in the ring, hits a super kick, and then the Gargano escape, and afterwards he singles that he wants Gargano versus Cole 3, and William Regal made the match official on WWE.com exclusive. He announces another 2 out of 3 falls match between Johnny Gargano and Adam Cole, but it's not just a 2 out of 3 falls match. It's basically a 3 stages of hell match. Johnny Gargano can pick the first stipulation, Adam Cole can pick the second one, and William Regal, if the match gets that far, will pick the third one. And I'm really excited for that match. It does kind of suck. We've kind of already seen a 2 out of 3 falls match, but having the thing where they can pick the stipulation makes sense. As for what I think the stipulations would be, I think maybe Johnny Gargano will pick a submission match since he made Adam Cole tap out twice in a row to get the title, and maybe Adam Cole will pick like falls count anywhere or something, and then William Regal will pick maybe a ladder match, maybe a cage match or something. But this is gonna completely end this feud, and I'm all down for that because obviously it's the rubber match. There's really no reason to continue it afterwards, and this is the perfect way to end it. But I really enjoyed this episode of NXT. I thought, it had some awesome stuff on it. I really enjoyed, Matt Riddle's match with Arturo, and I really enjoyed the Killian Dane attack. I enjoyed the setup to the NXT Tag Team title match, the women's title match, the Tyler Breeze Forgotten Sons feud stolen. I enjoyed Kushida Apollo Crews. I enjoyed the NXT breakout tournament, and I enjoyed the setup to the NXT Championship match at NXT TakeOver Toronto 2. So I thought this was an awesome episode. I'm gonna give it an A, and yeah, that's just my letter grade. I give it an A. And that's the end of this video. I only have 3 more episodes of each thin 205 Live, NXT UK, and NXT to watch before SummerSlams and NXT TakeOver Toronto 2. So I'm going to do all that tomorrow. But that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Please make sure you guys like, comment, and share this video so people will watch it. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel for more content and click on the bell so that way every time I upload so every time I upload a video, sorry, I'm just really tired. It's like 2 in the morning. But so every time I upload a video, you guys get the notifications for it. And make sure you guys do the same thing for my CM Brothers and all the Talking to YouTube channels. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.